Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Bridgewater Town Council. I'll start with a pledge of allegiance, so if you're able, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please note, I have quite a few condolences this evening, and so I want to take the time to go through these respectively. First, John Nahivith, U.S. Army veteran, passed away on April 28th. Carol Bunke, Vietnam era, passed away May 4th. Robert Wallace, U.S. Air Force, Korean era, passed away May 19th. David Carlson, U.S. Air Force, Vietnam era, passed away June 16th. Mark Rowanane, U.S. Air Force, Vietnam era, passed away June 19th. William Weiler, U.S. Army era, U.S. Army Vietnam era, passed away July 3rd. Wendell Newell, U.S. Navy veteran era, passed away July 5th. Robert Hart, U.S. Army veteran era, passed away July 15th. And Clarence Hamilton, U.S. Navy Korea, passed away July 21st. Please join me in a moment of silence to recognize these folks. Thank you. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, approval of previous meeting minutes. We have the meeting minutes from July 14th, 2026. I will take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Spagone, seconded by Councilor Lindy. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving next to announcements from the president. I do have an update as promised last evening, and so I will read the quick update into the record. Before we move forward with tonight's agenda, I wanted to provide the update I said I would give from the Town Council regarding the Inspector General's report and our review of the matter involving Town Manager Justin Casanova Davis during his time in Norfolk. The council met in executive session last night to discuss the report and to provide Mr. Casanova Davis with an opportunity to address the council directly. Following that discussion, the council voted to retain outside legal counsel to advise us as we continue our review. Town Council of Bridgewater has recused himself from this matter because of a potential conflict of interest, as he represents both the town and advises the town manager in his official capacity. The council's vote to retain outside legal counsel is the only action the council has taken regarding this matter. No other decision has been made. The council believes it is important to have the benefit of independent legal advice before determining whether any further action is appropriate. Our next step is to retain the outside counsel and carefully review the matter with that counsel. We understand the public's interest in this matter and the desire for answers. At the same time, we have a responsibility to follow an appropriate process and to make decisions based on careful and thorough review of the facts. We intend to move forward with that process promptly and will provide additional information when we are able to do so. Thank you. Next, I will move to proclamations. We have none this evening, so I will move to citizen open forum. A reminder, due to Massachusetts open meeting law requirements, discussions will not take place during public comment periods. Anyone may comment at this time for up to 3 minutes, and I would ask that you please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. I'm Janet Dye, 40 Dickens Street, Bridgewater, and I've been an elected member of the Board of Library Trustees for quite some time. I just want to say that last evening, many citizens in Bridgewater came and stood out and made their wishes known about how important the library is to Bridgewater. And I thank the citizens who came. There were all kinds of people. It just brought warmth to my spirit because I think so highly of our library, and I don't want to see it be less than it is now. So I'd like to thank all of those people. There were toots all for that whole hour we were there. I think we had about 68 folks, kids, extended families, the state rep, students, teens, seniors, and BCR members who actually helped in some of the publicity. They had signs in front of the library and the academy building, and horns tooted the whole hour as they went by, seeing people supporting their library and wanting it to continue as it is. As with any agreement, we must follow the rules of state aid in order to get our funding. And I expect that you to vote for the resolution tonight that would restore library hours, and this is just one step in making us continue to be viable and not be decertified. We were decertified several years ago. It's devastating because it means that we don't have services from other libraries, and that would be a huge downer for this community. We're reminded that certification is vital to participating in the state interlibrary loan system. So I'm hoping that the library will come soon to a full funding so that we don't lose these services. And I also want to remind people that if you look at the whole budget, and I know it's big, the library is only less than 1% of the budget in Bridgewater, and it services every single citizen in Bridgewater. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Paul Ozier, 1 Brookside Drive in Bridgewater, and a member of Bridgewater Communities for Civil Rights. In this year, when the U.S. is celebrating its 250th birthday, the National Women's Historical Alliance has developed a resolution to honor women's contributions to our democracy. Congress has designated August 26th, the day the 19th Amendment enfranchising a woman was certified, as Women's Equality Day. I would like to read a resolution into the record, please. Whereas, as the nation is celebrating America's 250th anniversary, and whereas women's history is recognized as essential for understanding the courageous complexity of our nation, and whereas knowing women's stories provide essential role models for everyone, whereas role models are generally needed to face the extraordinary changes and unrelentless challenges of the 21st century, and whereas learning about women's tenacity, courage, and creativity throughout the centuries is a tremendous source of strength, whereas women in the United States have continuously worked to gain full rights and responsibilities, public or private, legal or institutionalized, as citizens of the United States. Women in every state and every culture and religious group work to expand democracy by securing the right to vote for women. Congress has designated August 26th, the date the 19th Amendment enfranchising women was certified, as Women's Equality Day. Whereas recognizing the Women's Equality Day as a day of celebration throughout the country emphasizes the importance of women's work for democracy. Therefore, be it resolved that in the name, in this case, Bridgewater Community for Civil Rights, will, in conjunction with the celebration of the nation's 250th birthday, commemorate the Women's Equality Day, October 26th, as a national day celebrating the importance of the women's suffrage movement and women's work to secure and expand the equal rights today. We, as an organization, will honor them with a standout on August 22nd at 10 a.m. in the morning. Thank you very much.
Ray Ajemian, Aldridge Road. Good evening. I suspect many of you, just like me, weren't aware of August 26th being Women's Equality Day. It's an important event for a variety of reasons. I just want to touch on this. When this land was settled by the British, only white men who were property owners could vote. When the United States Constitution was written, voting rules were left up to the states, and states simply ignored women, blacks, and indigenous Americans. The Civil War brought about the 15th Amendment, which gave black males, in theory, the right to vote. I say in theory because the southern states put all sorts of restrictions in their way from voting. Women were again excluded. It took over 70 years of struggle by women to get Congress to amend the United States Constitution, allowing many women to vote in every state. And that is what I want to remind everybody, and that the rights for women and other constitutional rights did not just happen. Women like Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, Ida B. Wells, Alice Paul, and many others literally spent their lives working for women's rights. It wasn't easy. They experienced harassment and jail time, but in the end, they won. I bring this up because ensuring our rights under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is a never-ending process. In particular now, where there seems to be an effort by Washington to push back on our basic rights, an example being the SAFE Act, which in theory is to protect our election process, but in reality, it could diminish the right of women to vote. BCCR is committed to trying to make sure that all women and others living in this country are protected under the Constitution. And we hope that in our little town of Bridgewater, you as our council feel the same way. I end with a quote from Susan B. Anthony. It was we the people, not we the white male citizens, not yet we the male citizens, but we the whole people who formed the Union. And we formed it not to give the blessings of liberty, but to secure them, and not to have half of ourselves and half of our prosperity, but to the whole people, women as well as men. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Dwyer. I live on 25 Fern Hollow Road. I just want to talk about the Bridgewater firefighter contract. It's my understanding they were recently were in contract negotiations. They went through arbitration, went through all the proper channels, and were given an award. It seems like the town has not honored that award. I would urge the town, you got to honor the contract. I mean, they went through the proper channels. They did what they were supposed to. These guys deserve the raise that they were given. And it's not like they were given some outlandish huge raise. They got a moderate raise, cost of living, barely cost of living, I would say, from what I've understood. So I would urge the town to go ahead and ratify that contract and honor that, the ruling that was given. I mean, it's going to be tough to hire new candidates if word gets out that the town doesn't want to pay the people they have or honor these contracts. It's tough to find people out there. I work in the service myself, and I've worked with these guys. They do a great job, and I think they should be paid what they deserve and what they're owed. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Bernice Morrissey, 150 Lakeside Drive, Bridgewater. I'm turning out tonight to show support for the library and all that has gone on in the past to make sure it stays open to the public. I moved to town with my family in the early 1990s when that building was being renovated, and I had occasion to go in there recently. My children are now grown, so I don't get there as much as I would like, but I went recently and I looked around and I thought, this building has really held up well. It looks as fantastic as it did when we first moved here in the early 90s. But I want to say, I also raised 3 daughters in this town, and I owe a debt of gratitude to the librarians, to the tech people, to all the people that make that library open, free and open to the public. Many times when a rainy day, whatever it is, you have little kids, where can you go? The library. We have expanded. We have so many buildings with hundreds of families in them, now with small children. If that library is not available for the next generation, I feel like they won't be standing here today saying, well, my 3 daughters are very successful businesswomen. And a lot of that is because of their education and their trips to the library, right down to like college essays. They got help from the librarians. So it's critical we keep that open. But the one story I really want to share is what it looks like from the public's point of view if that library is decommissioned or loses its accreditation. Back when my daughter was about 10, 11, I live on that other side, the NIP. So every Saturday we would go for music lessons at Rick Music. We started stopping at the Raynham Library because Kathleen was an avid reader and still is. One day we stopped, and it was such a regular part of our routine that the librarians there would say, Kathleen, these books just came in. They would pick her books out for her because they got to know what she would like to read. And she'd read like three a week, and we'd go back the next week. Well, one day we went in there, went through the routine, the books were waiting at the counter, and they went to check out and saw Bridgewater Library card. And the librarian paused. I'm going to get emotional because the 2 mothers, myself and the librarian, are looking at each other going, we can't give this kid her books. And you have to know what that feels like from a professional's point of view, to have all these books and say, not today. Well, by the time I got back to my house, my phone rang, and of course my daughter and I are saying that's really sad, but you know, we can go buy books, we can do something. Well, the phone rang, and it was the librarian saying, come back, I'm going to let you take the books. And I told her that was okay, but just from a human and from a parental point of view, it's really important that we don't shutter those doors. You have a lot of kids that, council meetings, planning board, you all allowed the buildings to be built. Now we have a next generation of little ones. We've got to take care of them. Thank you.
Good evening, Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street. I echo what Bernice was saying. If you can remember when I talked about the library before, and I'm going to get emotional because I'm thinking of her. The library needs to be supported, period. We need to make sure that that stays open. I have a lot of memories with my son. It did fail when he was younger, and we did have a time when we couldn't go like we wanted to, so definitely support that, please. I also wanted to bring up about the open meeting law complaint that's going to be discussed on the agenda in your executive session. I just don't get why that's being presented. I didn't realize a non-resident can file a complaint, so I learned, that was a learning experience for me. But I just don't understand. There were people complaining because not enough town councilors went to the meetings, and then all of a sudden you all went, and now that wasn't good either. So, you know, let's make up our mind, but I'm hoping that this will get resolved and nobody will be in trouble for it. So I really don't understand why that is happening. So as I already said, the library would like to support the zoning amendment for the ZBD, CBD regulations. I hope you support these amendments that the planning board had put forth. We need to make those changes. We need to protect the downtown. So please support that. Ordinance D FY 26016. I would like to see the definition for the size decreased from 25,000 square feet to something else so that we can even reduce the size if anything was ever to come forward. But right now, I like the fact that it's no on every zoning, but could be danger, you know, in the future. So I don't want something get grandfathered into 25,000 square feet. If you can change it to a smaller one, do it now. The sooner you do it, the better. But we don't need that in our town. There's a lot of towns that don't want it. I don't know where you got the numbers from. I think you were basing it on Mansfield, and I don't know if they're the best ones or not. I didn't do my own research. But Lowell is having issues right now because they allowed it in a residential area, and they want to expand. And the residents are complaining because there's been a lot of issues, so they froze it. They can't do anything until everything's resolved. So it's not going well in a lot of communities. We don't need them. So I support no on every zoning, so please look at the definitions carefully. Finally, Order FY 27014, establishing financial feasibility study for pre-K through grade 8, taking it out of the BR system. I'm for it. I remember when I moved in at 78, they were not part of the BR regional district. It was just the high school. I'm not sure why or when it was changed, but I think they were thinking that it's good to have continuity of education in the elementary schools, but I feel that we need to go back to just having in charge of our own elementary schools. I know you're going to be looking at the financial end of it, and if the state's going to penalize you for doing that, but I'm like to have that as serious, and I know you'll probably send it off, and I heard my timer, but, and I'm in support of the CPC restoration of the hand pump and the photographs and Save program, Save the Save program. And the water impact study, there was a lot to digest in that, and I don't understand it all, so I'm looking forward to the discussion to see, you know, the best end of that. So, sorry it's so rushed, but those 3 minutes go really fast. Thank you.
Hi, Matt Lake, 1160 Vernon Street. I've been a town resident for 20 years. I understand the town's financial situations, but I'm here to ask that you honor the firefighters' arbitration agreement and fund the firefighters' contract. I believe not doing so would be short-sighted. One thing we don't want to turn into is a revolving door fire department of new hires who come in, get certified, accredited, and move on to better paying departments. I don't expect that you all follow the fire service. A lot of us do, and that's a common thing, especially in the Commonwealth. We don't want a bargain shop for public safety. We want the best in town. We want the best fire department we can have. I urge you to fund the contract, uphold the arbitration agreement. I just don't believe that stubbornness and pride is the way to do business. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Young. I am on the fire department. I've been a member for 5 years. I'm the secretary currently on the union. Just a little bit about my background. I've been a resident for 10 years as well, but I'm also a certified public accountant. Before I became a firefighter, I was in the private sector as a CPA. I've worked as an auditor, specifically with clients from $1 million all the way up to billion-dollar bank clients. So my background is in finance. And I was very disappointed the other night listening to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. There was actually some really good questions, and I was disappointed with the lack of response from the head of finance. The finance department, the Budget and Finance Committee definitely deserves those answers, and I would like to clarify some of those answers for you. Specifically, there was a big hesitation from the Budget and Finance Committee about the education. Essentially, the arbitration ruling awarded that they were going to convert our education from a flat dollar stipend to a percentage. And there was discussion of how much that would cost. I've calculated that amount in the first year, which is only for fiscal year 27 currently, because that's what the arbitration ruling was. That would have been a $29,000 increase. If I was to do some small assumptions of a 1% COLA of the next couple of years, that would jump from 31,000 to 33,000. Those are not large numbers, especially for a department as our size. There was also some discussion about the parity with the police, specifically their education, and if we received a percentage education stipend, then the police would want that. The police currently have an education stipend that's called the Quinn equivalent. That is a 10% for associates, 20% for a bachelor's, and 25% for a master's degree. What we got at arbitration was a 5% for associates, 6.5% for bachelors, and 7.5% for masters. That is not comparable. We are not in parity with the police. So for that to be a concern and no one to speak up is a little ridiculous to me. As far as ways that we could fund this contract, currently they requested all of this money to be funded from the stabilization fund. The stabilization fund increased from last year from 8.5 million to 9.8 million. That's a $1.3 million increase. Last year at June 30th, 2025, that was 10.5%. That's what we aim for. Currently, that's 12% of the budget. That's above and beyond. So the $1 million to be taken out of that to fund our contract is not a one-time payment that can be ignored. Additionally,
Mr.
part of the...
I actually respect what you're saying and the information you're giving, but I will open it up to the council to take a motion to allow you to speak for another 3 minutes to continue with this.
Okay.
So moved.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, thank you. Now, as far as some other of the numbers related to that stabilization fund, the certified free cash was 4.3 million last year. That entire amount was moved into the stabilization with a small amount put into the employee liability fund. The employee liability fund is specifically to fund contracts such as CBA agreements like the fire department. That was $475,000. So these are other ways that we can fund the fire department contract. That $475,000 can specifically be used not from the stabilization, but for our contract. Additionally, there are some other options. I sent out an email to every one of you. I've given you attachments. I've given you is laid out as best as I can with the background support. We have an ambulance fund, as I'm sure many of you know. Our ambulance money that we receive for transports to the hospital then can be used to fund our salaries. Currently, that is, the town typically draws 30 to 33% of that. It's around it's around, I'll give you the exact numbers, but it's around 2.1 million the past few years. The ambulance receipts in the past 3 years have been trending around 2.5 million. I think we can very easily increase that 33% to 40%. That's additional money that we could use to fund this contract, and that is sustainable going forward. It's a healthy, I sent that all to you as well, listing it out, showing how this can be a possible solution. There is some other information that I would love to discuss. I don't think I'm going to have enough time, but I would be happy to answer any questions. I would meet with any of you one-on-one or with the council as a whole to go over these numbers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, members of the council. State Senator Bill Driscoll, here with Representative Gallagher, and just wanted to add my voice to those urging you to ratify the contract. I think as many as you know, hopefully all of you know, that this went through the Joint Labor Management Committee process, which is a state process that's available to our labor unions like fire as they go into contract negotiations with municipalities. We ask our first responders, our firefighters, to do immense pressure-driven work every day. They've been doing this for 700 days without a new current contract. So I wanted to urge you to ratify that tonight. I had some questions as well. I did my homework, as I'm sure you all have, watched the Finance Committee hearing presentation, talked with the local 2611 finance team. They put my questions to rest. I know there was questions around the education step-ups and whether or not, when someone earned a new degree, if that would be an additional 5 or 7% every single year. And it's my understanding it won't be. It's a one-time step-up, then it's baked into their base pay going forward. So, Representative Gallagher.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Driscoll. Dennis Gallagher, State Representative, 160 South Drive here in Bridgewater. And I come before you tonight to encourage you to support the arbitrator's award for our Bridgewater firefighters contract. These negotiations have been going on since October of 2023. 3 town managers have been involved in these negotiations, or 2 town managers and 1 acting town manager. Perhaps that is one of the reasons why the negotiations haven't gone as smoothly or as quickly as possible, with different minds coming in and different set of objectives. The arbitration hearing was in March of this year, and the award and the decision came back last month. I too had the opportunity to watch the Budget and Finance Committee meeting, and I do respect the questions that were asked and the diligence that the committee put in asking the questions. But I do put before you something that we need to keep in mind, and there's been a lot of discussion of going back to the former form of government. When things were put before the town meeting, particularly when it came to money, it was always subject to appropriation. And everyone always questioned it. What does that really mean? Well, you have to vote to appropriate the money. And it's really sort of a formality. And I think that this arbitration decision is one of those formalities. The process took place. It was long. There's a big number to this, no question about it. But future contracts, negotiations, hopefully won't take this long, and there won't be 3 different town managers involved with this. But I do think the process took place, the process happened. The town was not able to resolve it with the firefighters, so they opted to go to arbitration. And the award that the arbitrator gave is really more so in favor of the town, based on what the firemen asked and what the town was offering. And if you look at the decision, it was more inclined to what the town was offering. So I encourage you and I ask you to support Order FY 27011 when it comes before you later in this meeting. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jimmy Reedy. I'm the president of the Bridgewater Firefighters Local 2611, and I have the honor and privilege of representing the hardworking men and women of Local 2611. First off, I want to thank Ryan Young. Your hard work, your forensic analysis is impeccable. Thank you. I also want to thank my bargaining team, whether it be gathering information, productive conversation, or just plain old showing up. I really want to thank you. To Chief Slats for not forgetting where he came from and supporting us in every step of the way. I want to thank Representative Gallagher, Senator Driscoll, for echoing what we need to hear today. I also want to bring up the fact that our PFFM does not have a representative here today due to our national convention that happens biannually. They're in Texas. They're well aware of what's going on, and they're being abreast of what's going on. And to the counselors, the ones that picked up the phone over the last several days, thank you. Your efforts will not go unnoticed. I also want to thank Haley Ferguson, who's out of Peralta Associates, who's been our lawyer this whole time. She's been a really good help. And finally, my message is short. The process has been over 700 plus days without a contract. It's been through 3 town managers. The can kick is enough. Listen, we've been through a lot. These men and women show up to work every day and put their best. And we just want to make sure that the process is seen through. That the process in place is essentially the reason why we have a no strike clause in our contract. We go to this process, we go through a third party that's completely impartial through the state, and then there's a review, and then there's an award. How the award works essentially is the ability to pay. The town has the ability to pay. We've shown it. Ryan Young has done an incredible job to do his forensic analysis. We've also used a forensic analysis that we've paid money out of our pocket for, Kevin Dacey. We've mapped it out. We're willing to work with the town in any shape or form to make sure that this is funded. I ask for your support, and please make sure that this is funded. Thank you.
Good evening. Matthew Gerritsen, 941 Plymouth Street, Bridgewater. I'm one of the library trustees. I've gotten up here before and spoken on behalf of the library, and I have made this point before, and I just think it's important to reiterate it now after hearing the support for the library, the support for the firemen, and obviously we had already had agreements with our other town employees who are also all unionized, that I hope this council, the town manager's office, and the town citizenry at the end of this fiscal year, takes the appropriate steps to make sure that we fund this town in a responsible manner that provides a living condition for all of our employees, our residents, and those people who make this their working home. Thank you.
Grace Lawson, Flagstone Place. I know a lot of you are new on the board, and I take that for truth. I appreciate everything everybody said coming into this meeting, but there's a big elephant in the room. The situation with our town manager is more than just a sideline. And I know that you can speak to it, and I know that you put out your information, but that's not enough. The OIG took 1 year to investigate this in Norfolk. We don't have that. So my question to you is, understanding that there's a conflict of our own town council, what is the parameters? How fast are you going to get some information about what to do? We can't ask firefighters to go without a contract for 700 days and continue to pay a town manager who's under investigation. It's just not feasible. And I'm kind of shocked that it didn't come up in the meeting until now. I know we have to go on as a town and do the normal sense of business, but the town council speaks for us. And now that we're finding all of this stuff, we really need to have some focused energy on the main problems. This is like a Jenga game. And as Ben Franklin said, a fish rots from the head. So we have to take sincere effort to take a look and to stop putting money in places where we get nothing for it. And I appreciate the time, and I hope that you understand. I would like to see some kind of communication going forward before the next meeting about what the plan is on how you're going to handle this controversy. Thank you.
Last call for any further public comment. Seeing none, we will continue with our agenda. We will next move to item E, appointments. We have 3 this evening. The first appointment is for Francis Jeffries to the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee. This is for a 1-year term. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Lindy, seconded by Councilor Spagone. All those in favor?
Aye.
I should ask for discussion first. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll ask for the vote one more time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to the second appointment for Stacy Driscoll to the Housing Authority, 2026 to 2029. That's a 5-year appointment. We'll take a motion.
Motion. I served on the Housing Authority with Stacy Driscoll.
Motion made by
Second.
Councilor Lindy, seconded by Councilor Spagone. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 9-0. Moving to the final appointment, the Board of Registrars for Michael Mishley. And this is for the Board of Registrars vote as Democratic appointment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Made by Councilor Spagone.
I'd like to say that Michael Mishley worked for me
Need
when
a
I was...
second first.
Second.
Oh, I was going to second, but
Seconded by
I was
Councilor
gonna say it
Kennedy.
first.
And then any discussion?
yes.
Councilor Hahn?
Michael was an incredible help for me when he was in college, when he was getting his master's degree, and when he was in law school, coming back and helping the town clerk's office. He's very dependable, very excellent worker. So I suggest voting for him.
Thank you.
Council
Any further discussion?
Yes.
Councilor-
Michael Mishley also serves as a legislative aide to Kate Donahue, and he is a perfect person to be in this position.
Thank you. Councilor Trocchio?
I just echo everyone else's sentiment. Michael Minchley has an impeccable resume. I think if we all took a look at it, this should be an easy approval. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to item F, hearings, we have none. We'll move to item G, license transaction. The first transaction this evening is petition P 2027-003, granting of the charge of category for Kodak LLC, 233 Broad Street, which is located inside Roach Brothers. So I will note the time as 7:40, and I will also note that this has been advertised in the Enterprise on the date of 7/31/2026, and certified abutter letters were mailed on 7/31/2026 as well. I will ask the petitioner if they would like to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, councilors. My name is Tom Miller from McDermott, Quilty, Miller and Hanley in Boston here on behalf of the petitioner, Kotak LLC, and Jay Kotak. I am joined by Jay. He is the owner and manager of record of the applicant or the licensee, which is doing business as Pages 3. The application before you, as was stated, is for a change of category from a wine and malt beverages package store license to an all-alcoholic beverages package store license. To that end, we do also want to thank the council for your support and help in the process of getting the home rule petition that allows this application today initiated and through the process, and with the support of the state reps who were here earlier, it was approved by the legislature, and here we are. I can go to the background of the store, which is located in the Roach Brothers. It's been there for more than 10 years. It has operated successfully as an amenity without incident. Jay and his team have been there for more than 3. They've continued to operate it successfully without a violation or incident during that time. The approval will allow a first-class operator to continue to meet the customer needs in that store. The support for that by their customers and the town residents is shown by the petition that was submitted as part of the earlier process with more than 500 signatures, letters of support received, the testimony at those hearings. It will support 2 existing local town businesses, the grocery store and the licensee. Jay and his team have brought a high-quality operation, or have continued a high-quality operation in Bridgewater. This will allow them to meet the needs of the community and the requests of their customers to better serve the community. With that, I am, as much as everyone loves to hear lawyers continue to babble on, I will leave it there, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I'll ask first if there are any general questions from the public. Seeing none, I will ask if anyone from the public wishes to speak in favor. Seeing none, I will ask if anyone from the public wishes to speak in opposition. Seeing none, I will ask the councilors if they have any additional questions. Seeing none, I will note the time as 7:43. Close the hearing, and I will take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Councilor
Second.
Spagone, seconded by Councilor Kennedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Motion passes 9-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Moving on to petition P 2027-004, granting of the transfer of the Class 2 used auto dealer's license, Northeast Motor Sales and Service. I will open the public hearing now. The time is 7:44. I will also note that the public hearing was advertised in the 7/31/26 Enterprise, and that certified abutters letters were also sent on 7/31/26. I will ask if the petitioner is here, if they would like to speak.
Thank you very much. We're here to transfer a license from Freddie Ariola to her mom, who is Rosa Alvarez.
Thank you very much. I'll ask if there are any general questions from the public. Seeing none, I will ask if there are anybody from the public that would wish to speak in favor. Seeing none, I'll ask if anybody from the public would wish to speak in opposition. Seeing none, I will ask the councilors if they have any questions. Councilor Lindy.
I'd just like to ask through you to the Assistant Town Manager whether everything is in order on this application.
Hi, yes, everything is in order.
Thank you.
Any additional questions from the council?
I guess,
No?
I guess for me, Mr. President, it's a little bit of a landmarking thing. Where on Elm Street is this?
I have in my notes, not sure,
Trying to figure out what the proximity to it, to other properties are.
do you all have the address in front of you?
Yeah, it's 365 Elm Street.
Councilor Spigot, that's on page 2 of the petition. Any additional questions from the council? Okay, I will note the time is 7:46, and I will close the hearing, and I will take a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Spigot, seconded by Councilor Lindy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes 9-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, final petition of the evening, petition P 2027-005, a request to amend the common vehicular license hours. This is for Smith Beverage, operating as Tropical Smoothie. And we'll note the time. Right. I will ask if there are any comments.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nauka Barod, and I'm here on behalf of Tropical Smoothie Cafe at 3 Broad Street in Bridgewater. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. So we are requesting an adjustment of our current hours from 7 a.m. to midnight to 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. This request is primarily based on feedback and demand from the community, and we believe that the additional morning and evening hours would allow us better serve our customers while continuing to operate responsibly and respectfully within the town. We have also met with the police chief, discussed the proposed hours and our operating plan as well, and they are comfortable with the request. And we are very happy to be the part of the Bridgewater community and appreciate your consideration, and I'll be happy to answer any of the questions.
Thank you. Council, I'll first take a motion, and then we can open it for discussion.
Motion to approve?
Motion made by Councilor Spigot,
Second.
seconded by Councilor Hunt. Is there any discussion? Councilor McGrath.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the recommendations, it says the police department is a trial period with the following conditions, but I don't, how long is the trial period is? It would be up to the police chief?
Yeah, would you like? I'll ask the town, assistant town manager if the police chief could speak.
Hi, Chief, can you come up, please? Thank you.
It's indefinitely. There was no period of time that we attached to it. We went over the safety plan with the owners of the property. We discussed our concerns. I think they've satisfactorily addressed those concerns in their plan, and so we'll try and see how it goes. We didn't attach a specific time frame to it, though.
Thank you, chief.
Councilor Lindy.
I'm not sure who this is for, but didn't we recently discuss this before? And I voted for it, but didn't we rule it down that we weren't going to expand the hours?
Yeah, the council was originally approached with a request to change to 24 hours.
Right.
And we voted that down. So it sounds like the next progression is, their current hours are 7 a.m. to 12 a.m., and they're asking for 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. So that's what's before us.
Mr. President.
Councilor Kenny.
Thank you. I'm going to support this. I supported it as well last time, and I know many councilors were concerned because there were concerns brought up respectfully by the police chief, and I'm happy to see that the business worked with the police chief to come to an agreement that I feel like is something that would work for the town itself and work for the police department. So that was the change, was this isn't 24 hours, but it sounds like they've agreed as to an expansion for a trial period to make sure that there isn't an increase in the concerns the police had.
Just one more, but there isn't a trial period, correct? I just want to clarify that for the record.
My
I believe
understanding
the
in-
chief just said it's indefinite.
Right. There's
So
no
there's-
time frame on the trial period.
To me, that doesn't seem like a fair way to do business for the business, that they should have a trial period that never ends. feel like being in hell. And we want to encourage business. So perhaps a trial period of, I don't know, 90 days, I don't know, 3 months, the 6 months, I don't know, whatever would be suggested.
Perhaps no trial period.
If I could, there's not technically a trial period anyway, because you're the licensing authority, right? So if you found there were violations, you could bring them back before the board and revoke the license. So I think when the police chief says it's always a trial period, he means it's always a trial period, because if there is a violation of the license, you all are the licensing authority. So I think any period is technically a trial period, right? And I think that's what the police chief was saying.
Yeah, I mean, give them an opportunity. I mean, how we viewed it as the business owner, we want to see businesses succeed in this community. We need more of it. There is a concern versus the 24-hour request. They addressed those. We had a good conversation. There's a game plan. There are certain requirements that we would like to see in place, having more than one person on duty and things like that, that may improve safety if we have those kind of concerns. And so we agreed to that. We didn't put a time frame on it for that purpose, just to see how it goes. And if there was a problem, then we'd bring those problems and concerns before you.
Any additional questions for the council? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Thank you.
If I could just very quickly, I'm just reading through your order. At the end of the order, it says, subject to the conditions, there will be 2 staff persons operating cafe at all times and 2 takeout service only, no seating. I'm just thinking for your sake and the licensee's sake, you may want to specify that takeout service only. Does that mean for the whole time they're open, or does that mean for certain hours of operation? You just may want to clarify that. If that's what you're actually voting on, you just probably want to be a little more specific about what that means, that's all.
Is that something that was discussed with the police chief?
Sorry.
Steps in. Yeah.
Yeah, so our recommendation would be, they already have the operating hours from 7 to midnight. We think the additional time frame that we're giving them should be for takeout only. As you know, we have other takeout, a few businesses in town that are takeout only. So I'd recommend it's only for those hours of their expansion. So from that midnight to 1 a.m. And I think that's probably appropriate under the circumstances. I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that with them, but I think that's fair.
I will make a motion to amend that last piece of this licensing, police department trial period, which we're no longer calling a trial period, and we are. Number 2, service would be for takeout only with no seating from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. would be the amendment.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Lindy. Any discussion on the amendment?
Just a point of order, Mr. President, and through you to the council. Do we need to reconsider because we already voted to approve?
Yeah, so what I would do, I'd make a motion to reconsider the initial, then make a motion to amend with that amendment, vote the amendment, and then revote it. So start with the motion to reconsider.
Move to reconsider.
Second.
Mr. President, this is out of order. I believe you need to rescind your amendment.
I will rescind my amendment.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to move to reorder.
Reconsider the motion.
Reset.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilor Hunt, seconded by Councilor Spagone. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so I will make an amendment, or make a motion to amend that last line. Service would be for takeout only with no seating from 12 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Lindy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now we will go back to the larger transaction one more time, right? And we have a motion and a second for that, so we will take a vote to approve the entire transaction. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. 9-0. Congratulations. Moving on to next item on the agenda, item H, presentations. We have none. We'll move to item I, town manager report. Our acting town manager is here this evening, and the first item is Merrill's Landing.
Hi, good evening. The first report is Maryland's Landing. So this is an update on Maryland's Landing LLC, which is fully permitted as a soil reuse facility by both the state Mass DEP and the towns of Bridgewater and Halifax. The facility straddles the town line between Bridgewater and Halifax. Marilyn McDonald is the chief operating officer and has maintained periodic updates to the town since its inception back in 2013. And the town recognizes Maryland's Landing as a good business for the town. Their current operations involve creating a plateau spanning the two properties between Halifax and Bridgewater to establish a solar array as a post-closure use designed to benefit the two communities. This update is to inform Town Council that Maryland's Landing is now seeking approval from the state to conduct cap repairs called a corrective action at the adjoining closed BFI landfill in Halifax, as recommended by the Mass DEP. No changes to work in Bridgewater are proposed, and no additional approvals from Bridgewater are needed. Halifax Board of Health voted to support the corrective action on the closed BFI Halifax landfill on 6/17/2026, June 17th. This is just giving Bridgewater a heads up as requested by Mass DEP.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the council? Councilor Spigot.
Yes, Mr. President. I did have some questions I actually received from a resident, and I was hoping that if they can be answered, if we can do that tonight. First off, Maryland's Landing, obviously there's an agreement between us and them and the town of Halifax. There's revenue that we receive from them, correct?
Yes. Oh, sorry, yes. Money does come into the general fund. It's not, when it's not appropriated, which it isn't, it closes out to full cash, free cash. So it just comes in and then goes right into free cash.
About how much do we receive from them?
$40,000 to $50,000. I don't know if you could hear Laurie,
Yeah.
but our finance director says approximately $40,000 to $50,000 per year.
And another question that I got was, has the town calculated the municipal costs associated with Maryland's Landing to determine its net financial benefit rather than gross revenue? Do you do that calculation?
No, but could we get back to you on that?
Absolutely.
Great.
And then the other two questions, I think they're kind of combined, so I'll try to just go one by one on them. For the agreement or permit that governs payments to the town, what authority does the town have in auditing those underlying records that go along with them? Are there any receipts that come along with that, like a pay stub or an advice or a letter that gives any type of summarization?
No.
Okay. Is it state fund? Is it a state funding or is it given to us by Maryland's Landing?
Just by Maryland's Landing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Those are all my questions,
And
Mr. President.
can I just add one thing? Just as a reminder, that we do recognize Maryland's Landing as a good business for the town, so they're in good standing.
Trish, could we just make sure that question that MJ had is on the next agenda, please, before we go to the next council? But
And I would ask, since there was no attachment file to this, that what the assistant town manager read could be entered into the record for the public.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Thank you.
Any additional questions on this item? Okay, moving on to the next item, water update.
Okay, we have a water update, and we have Mr. Bill Young is going to do that for us. He's going to give us an update on the project.
Good evening to the council. So just a quick couple updates on the project. The iron and manganese filters are currently undergoing final preparations for startup commissioning, hopefully starting next Tuesday. The PFAS filters are continuing to be worked on, piping the manifolds, bringing the electrical conduits to the pressure sensors needed. And we're still waiting on a couple pieces of pipe, and those will be ready for commissioning the week of the 24th. The full system integration, we're looking to be hopefully by the end of the 24th, and I say hopefully is there's a lot of things that go into starting up a water system, just to make sure that we have our parameters in place for our DEP water quality testing, our security measures in place, our cybersecurity measures in place as well. So there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of testing. There's fault failures. We go through a bunch of different tests to make it operational and safe for public drinking water, like we do every other facility that we operate. So depending on how all of that goes, by the end of the week of the 24th, we are hopeful to be sending the full system to distribution. And to go off of that, we are continuing to do work on the lagoons. All the sewer manholes and pipe has been installed. We went by there this afternoon, and the liner for the lagoon itself was installed. So we are making steady progress on that as well. And that's kind of all I have for an update at this moment.
Councilor Spigon?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Bill, thank you for coming in tonight. I did have a few questions regarding all of the 10A, 10B stuff. I remember distinctly asking a question a while back about how much the materials are going to cost. Like, for example, the green sand that's going to be used to filter. How much is that going to cost in a general long term?
That's something that we still have to determine once we start actually sending water into the system and how it's backwashing, what our pressures are and everything. That's also part of what the startup commissioning procedure is for both of those systems.
And for the lagoon, you said the liner's already been installed. What's the overall size of that lagoon again?
242 feet, I believe, by 74 feet, if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty close to that. I shouldn't have given you specific numbers, but that's what I'm remembering off the top of my head.
No problem. My other question is regarding the vessels themselves. Obviously, you're getting close to getting them commissioned and online.
Yep.
Is there any fundamental change to the hardware systems that are going to be managing those, turning them on, turning them off, or anything that has to change in the software?
So that's part of what the SCADA integration is right now, is we have each system comes with its own panel, and that's a manufacturer thing. So what we do is we have our SCADA integrator coordinate with their SCADA integrators to make a new program so we can actually talk to the system from our old system, and that's part of what the work that we're doing right now is.
About how long do you think that's going to probably take? I assume obviously
this has been going on for months now.
Okay,
This
see.
is a part of why we're being so stringent with where we are at now. Is this is something that is obviously developed over 3-4 years when you're bringing a new system online.
Okay. And the last question I had was trying to think of it right now. Getting back to some of the filtration material, so all three vessels, are they going to use green sand, or is there another type of material they have to put in?
There's 6 vessels on the site. There's three iron and manganese vessels that are used with green sand, plus there's an anthracite layer, and there's gravel in that one. On the other side, it's called granulated active carbon for 2 of the filters, and the last filter will be a polish called Fluorosorb, and that was the main, to make sure the PFAS is removed.
Okay, and follow up on the carbon stuff. The activated carbon, town uses that already in their systems, correct?
Not in this town, no.
Not in this town.
This will be the first one in our town.
So I guess similar question is, do you guys have an idea of what the firm cost is going to be to put that into our system and then change it out? I assume that's obviously going to happen as we use it.
The granulated active carbon is a little bit different than green sand. It's not backwashed. It's more based off of what you're putting into it, where it's a continuous operation. Again, that's something that we don't know the life expectancy of it until we start drawing water consistently from those wells over the course of years.
Will Apex Engineering be helping us out with that all along the way?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
They're on-call operations for the first year of the service, and then they are our town on-call operators. It depends on what direction the town moves in moving forward.
Okay. And the last question I just have, just generally, have you found things have been going along rather well, or have there been any types of issues that you think could be a concern when we're trying to get everything online? There's no potential situations that could cause us to delay it any way, right?
Not off the top of my head, no. It's just waiting on those simple parts that we have outsourced already, and we are working with the manufacturers to get them here within the next week. So from what my understanding is of where the job site is at, we should be ready, and that's part of what we're doing this week, is trying to do our due diligence to prepare and think of the things that could go wrong before they go wrong, and that's
And then the last part, once everything's online and functioning, how long will it take for the water to start filtering down the levels of PFAS, iron, and manganese?
immediately.
It will be immediate? So probably within
We won't put it back into the system until it's ready to go.
All right.
And under the parameters that DEP guidelines set, and each individual plant has its certain parameters based off of water quality.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. No more questions, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilor Lindy?
Thank you, Mr. President, and Bill, thank you very much for the good news and the good report. I'm going to say August 24th is a great date because it's my birthday, and I wish you luck. A lot of work has gone into this, a lot of hard work has gone into this, and it's nice to hear that we're moving forward to a solution, so I just wanted to...
Definitely, and I just want to reiterate that it's been a journey for our team as well as the Apex staff, and we are all taking this very seriously, diligently, and you know, it's good for us all to be able to see the work immediate and being able to support the community. And I just want to thank my team and the Apex staff and our team as well, that their work isn't going unnoticed.
And Mr. President, one more thing. Again, no attachment file here. He explained it in public. I know he had some notes to look at. I really think, even though it's in the minutes, I think there should be something attached to this, like perhaps a one-pager. I'd like to see that happen.
Thank you. Councilor Trocchio?
Yep. Bill, thank you so much for being here. I have two questions. My first question is, so you mentioned this cybersecurity program or whatever. Is that program the same as, like the same brand as that we're buying to pump the water, or is this a separate security software entity?
So the security itself is not based off of the manufacturers that we're dealing with. The cybersecurity is actually on our internal SCADA systems. It's about communication to those and how we utilize those. So that's why we have secure facilities on all of our sites, so people can't get into the doors to actually go in to those things. So it's a full security measure in that sense of that they talk to each other, but you can't access them at all remotely right now.
Okay, so like my biggest concern is like what I'm just trying to lay out is any sort of cyber attack that could potentially limit the usage of the water. So there's mechanisms in place to prevent that from occurring?
Correct.
All right, and so is this connected overall to like our regular internet that we use? It's a separate system?
They're not connected to the internet at all.
Okay. So how do they talk? How do these systems talk?
I don't, that's something that I'm probably not going to get into at this moment.
Yeah.
All right, good. So my second question is, do we need to continue, like, do we need to continuously have any specific timeline with Middleborough to ensure that our systems are operational? Like, you know, we have the interconnection with the agreement. Based on your perspective and what you're seeing, do we need to extend that? What do you think based on your knowledge and experience?
In my professional opinion, the more water you can keep, the better.
Okay. So would you like it longer, like to make it easier for you, or?
It's not just for me, it's for the water department and the community. But
Yeah.
yes, I mean, if we're in a situation, then obviously if you have multiple redundancies, as I talk about when I come up here frequently, then yeah, the more water you can have available to us, the better it's going to be for the community.
So how long would you like to see, let's just say, for example, you're king for a day. If we could get an agreement with Middleborough, how long would you like to see that to ensure that this project meets its August 24th timeline?
It's not necessarily about the need for it on a day-to-day basis moving forward. It's about the emergency situations in a matter of, you know, what we're doing with our system right now is if I have the ability to give water to somebody else in the time of need, I would like to be able to do so. And I think a lot of the other surrounding communities in this area, talking to the superintendents, feel the same way. And that's why we're starting to explore all those options between every town and community that we have. Is again, it's a redundancy for our town, it's a redundancy for the other towns, and it also helps out the fire departments in drought conditions.
Okay. And then my final question is, have you been in contact with the Middleborough DPW guy? Like their superintendent? Like, have you guys been communicating and saying, hey, you know, we're doing good, or?
We talk a little bit. We're both running multiple projects at once, and also trying to deal with our day-to-day operations staff. If I had an opportunity to talk with Mr. Bumpus a lot more, I probably would. But like I said, right now we're both trying to get systems online and be operational as soon as possible.
I would just like to give a recommendation. You know, when we talked with Middleborough, they definitely made it clear that, you know, we need to continue the communication, and I would just recommend, you know, maybe setting a battle rhythm type schedule. Hey, every Friday I call this guy and say, hey, even if you don't have anything to update, you just say, hey, no significant changes, no significant activity. Thank you very much. You know, just so you've established that.
Yeah, we text every once in a while and go through some operational updates.
All right, cool. Thanks, Bill. Thank you.
I just want to follow up on that topic, and I'll go back to councilors, but because Middleborough was part of my update in this process, but that's all right. There's not much thunder left up here, but I just wanted the public to know and the council know that I did speak with Chairwoman Farley from Middleborough. I let her know that our intention would be to move forward and work on a potential draft for a long-term IMA. We had a very quick conversation about that. I believe she spoke about that at one of her meetings. And I do know that town administration followed up and has been communicating about that process and getting motions together for a draft. And so communications were happening as recent as today. And this coming week, I believe Middleborough will be planning to put it on their agenda to again inform their citizens of our intentions. And so I have been communicating with Chairwoman Farley to keep that line of communication open. Additionally, I did ask her about the communication piece because that was something that came up at their meeting, and she assured me that she had not heard of any recent complaints or qualms with the communication between Mr. Young and their water superintendent. So it sounds like that's going well as well too. So I just wanted folks to hear that from us, that that is an option that is on the table. As Mr. Young said, all options are on the table right now. And I know all options will be presented to the council as well too before any final decisions are made. So just a quick update there, but I'll go back to the council members for questions. Councilor Kennedy.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President, to Mr. Young. Do we have any update on the pipes at Carver Pond?
So that's something that we are working on as well. We actually have brought in another engineering firm to start doing more of an analysis on all of Carver's Pond. As we all know, we will have to start PFAS remediation within the next couple of years as well. So it's beneficial to the town to do a full assessment of the work that needs to be done prior to just jumping into work quickly. There are some things that we are working on internally that we can make a quick fix come September, October, or if we have some lull in the weather patterns over the next month or two, where we feel comfortable enough to shut down the plant for a couple hours to actually make that repair.
Okay, so we're looking at both immediate repairs and evaluating the entire operation over at Carver Pond just to make sure we're setting up ourselves for success in the future.
Correct.
Okay. There were some questions on testing over by the lagoon area on Plymouth Street. Are there any issues with the soil testing over there? There was some.
Not that I've heard anything on. I think Azu can speak to the soil sampling a little bit better than I can.
Okay. I can. Okay. With what Councilor Spagone had asked about getting those filters up and running, do you essentially run those filters, prime them, and then backwash it into the lagoon? Is that the process to do that?
Yeah, so we have a couple of frac tanks that are on site right now to help us clear out the fines and everything while the lagoon is still becoming operational, but that is the purpose of it, yes. Is what we'll do is we'll run consistent flow through the filters and what we call forward cycle, and then we'll take water from the distribution and push it to a backwash cycle, and that's where all that backwash water will go, is funnel out to the lagoons.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions from the council? Councilor Allenberg?
Yes, I just want to know, the backwash, is it going to be like contaminated material?
contaminated with
Well,
regard.
the iron, the manganese, and whatever else may be in,
There'll be some, yeah, there'll be iron and manganese. That's why we have the HDPE liner, so we can let the water evaporate, and then over the course of a couple of years, we would haul out those solids so they don't get released back into the aquifer.
could you just speak to what would the solids be?
The solids would be iron and manganese.
Okay.
Counselor Scone?
Yes, Mr. President, I actually had a question for you. Knowing that the Middleborough Select Board is scheduled to meet on Monday next week, knowing that there's been work going on prior to that, do we believe we'll be ready to be able to give that to Chairwoman Farley so that her colleagues can discuss it and take it up next Monday?
So my understanding is the agreement is coming from them on the first draft, what they would like to see. I believe then we will look at that draft and hopefully negotiate from there. I'm not sure they need a set agreement for next week's agenda in Middleborough. What they would like to do is bring it to their town meeting in October, but I also don't want to speak to their form of government and how things work. But I've been in contact with Chairwoman Farley.
And follow up, Mr. President, since we're trying to maintain a good level of communication with our neighbors on the other side of the town line, for next week's meeting, I was actually interested in going. I don't know if all my other colleagues are interested in going. I just want to make sure that if we are, we properly inform folks about that. That would probably be helpful for them to know, so if they have any questions over there, they can ask any of us those questions. It would be nice if we might have even a brief of some sort sent to us or distributed from Ms. Shropshire and Jason, if needed, to tell us, exactly what the details are, so we can at least speak to it. Because I feel like that's going to be something that, given their form of government, they seem to be more open to discussing it in open meeting. So I don't want anything to look adversarial or like we're hiding anything or that we aren't sharing everything. I want to make sure we're communicating clearly and effectively, and that if there are any of us there, if they welcome us up to speak, that we can effectively communicate to them what we're looking for so we can try to move forward together. Thank you.
Councilor Lindy?
On that point, personally, I think we elect a president of the council, and I think we should have faith in whoever that is to speak on our behalf for the town of Bridgewater, also the town manager's office. So I went over there to speak, to thank them for supporting us and giving us water, but I would not comment on this as a counselor personally. So that's just my thought.
Any additional comments, Councilor Kennedy?
Yeah, just a comment on it. I know the council put a resolution to the town manager months ago to have the town manager bring all the options available back to us. I think Middleborough is something that a lot of us want to see as an option, so we are at least informed on decisions we can make in the future. There's been a lot of talk also about Brockton or Aquaria as an option. I just think it's part of the due diligence, and what I expected personally, voting on the resolution, was to just get the information from them. And I think part of that fact-finding process is actually what any water supply source would be looking to have in a contract with the town, so that we can make an educated decision on what that is. So this isn't for or against Middleborough, it just happens to be what we're talking about at the moment. I just think that's what we asked him to do. I'm hoping that information is coming our way very soon, because I know we are coming up against this. Our extension will end before we know it, so I want to make sure that we're well aware of what our options are prior to running out of time here. I don't know.
Can I speak to that? It is being worked on. So we are well aware of the deadline.
And one last comment, just so the public's aware, the council itself and the council body does not negotiate contracts for our town. The town manager has that responsibility. It's a separation in our government. So as much as the councilors, I think a lot of us would like to be involved, but it's just not the way the town works. It's not our operation in this town. It's separated. So the town administrator's office will be the ones working on that first, and then that comes to us for approval and any funding needs that are required to do any of that. Thank you.
One more point.
Councilor Lindy?
We also do not have a regularly scheduled council meeting until September 8th, so I don't know if we're going to have to deal with anything to take an action on that, but, obviously with summer schedules and everything, we're going to have to factor that in.
Yes.
we can't meet here because they're doing early voting here. So if we have to have a meeting, we're going to have to be elsewhere.
Mr. Young, I just have a few questions for you regarding the water update, if you would. I like to really dumb things down for myself in this process. And I think the obvious elephant here is, you know, our intentions were to have this system up and running at the end of June, and then, you know, sort of beginning of July, middle July. Now we're certainly moving towards, or it looks like, I mean, we basically are at the middle of August, and now we're talking about maybe next week or the following week. Could you summarize for folks in kind of plain detail what has caused the delay, or what is the holdup?
It's not only shipping, it's the back orders on things. It's, like I said, it's ductile iron, flange ductile iron pipe is 4 to 6 weeks lead time on some things, where it's been a work in progress. There's been some weather delays with the rain, significant rain. Contractors can't work side by side together doing certain things, so we've had to spread some things out. And then obviously, like, one of the biggest things is making sure that it's safe for public drinking water, most importantly. And, you know, slowing this process down was partially because of having the Middleborough interconnection be activated for these next 3 months, and making sure that we were doing our due diligence and there weren't issues going into the startup. If we continued to rush and try and get this project online, there's some things that we could have done that would actually could potentially hurt the system more than help the system. So that's where that has come.
And then just a question on the Carver's Pond piece, because I know the last update we provided to folks, again, when we met in July, was that we were seeking engineering firms to look at that and evaluate that. Sounds like to date, we're still kind of in that same phase.
So we had a first assessment come last week, 2 weeks ago. And so we made those decisions, and then, like I said, now we're working with trying to find a contractor who can do the work in a timely manner for the immediate work that we were looking to do.
And the hopeful time is September, October for completion of that project, but.
September for the immediate project, and then, like I said, going out and doing the full tuberculated lines and things of that nature. We're going to look and do our more due diligence on how quickly that should be done, and also couple it with some other projects that we would like to see done at that facility.
Excellent. And then my next question is, we also talked about tank diving and vacuuming and flushing. Is there any update on that process?
I have been reaching out to a couple different contractors to receive quotes for this fall. That's something that I am striving to get done this fall, as we have the operational redundancy with Middleborough for the next couple of months. Once this project comes online, it gives us a little bit of time to fill our tanks and to make those necessary changes, or to make those necessary repairs on those tanks and cleaning them.
Have we seen any improvement in terms of water usage and capacity?
We have.
Over the last month. What does that look like? I know we haven't had to message town folks, but could you share a little bit about that?
The tanks have been fairly consistent. We had the nice rain the last couple of weeks where we were gaining in the tanks daily. On a rain day like we had a couple weeks ago, we were averaging around 1.2 million gallons a day, and we were producing right around 1.5 million. So we were able to continuously gain on the tank. So it has been nice to see consistent gaining of the tanks, where this is another step in a redundancy that will allow us to continue down that track.
And then in return, we've used less water from Middleborough, I'm assuming.
Yes. So as our tank, it's based off of pressure right now. So as our tanks fill, it actually pushes the pressure back, so it does reduce the flow on its own a little bit. Not by much, like maybe 10 to 15,000, but like I said, as those tanks fill, you're going to increase pressure on our side, so you're going to lose that much differential on the other.
Excellent. Okay. I have no more further questions for you, but my last comment would be back to our assistant town manager. If we could, perhaps at our next budget and finance meeting, if Councilor McGrath would put that on the agenda, could we have an update on the loan authorization, where things stand, where we're at, how much we've gone out and sought for that? I think it'd be good to just look at what that standing looks like compared to our water enterprise system from like a holistic standpoint there.
Of course.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Young.
Thank you, Bill.
We will move on to item J, discussion. We have one discussion on the agenda this evening. It's regarding an open meeting law complaint received July 14th, 2026. I will hear from the council.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. President. My motion is to allow our town council to respond to this open meeting law complaint.
Second.
Motion on the table by Councilor Kennedy and seconded by Councilor Spagone. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes 9-0 to have our town council respond to the open meeting complaint. I'll move to item K, committee reports. Are there any reports from the committees?
We both have.
Yes, the CEDC. So F, G, and H. We took votes on all of those. They are all being sent for advertising. So,
We can discuss them as the legislation comes up and that is
okay.
the agenda
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Anything additional?
Mary?
Thank you, Mr. President. The Budget and Finance had a joint meeting with the Finance Committee meeting, and one of the things that came out of it, we're thinking about writing a resolution to explore other events that the funds from the Lupecki Family Trust comes, and of course, it will be directed as artistic and cultural events. And we have started the discussion if the town will do an override, what that will look like.
Thank you for that update. Seeing no more updates, we will move to the next item on the agenda, legislation for action. The first item we have is Order O FY 26-079, acceptance of gift, Lepecki Family Trust. We'll refer to the town manager if there are any updates.
No updates.
Just for the audience perspective here, the town has received a gift of $125,816 from the Lepecki Family Trust. And as Councilor McGrath had mentioned, this goes to the benefit of the Bridgewater Library for passes, museum passes, and then it can also be used for cultural events within the town of Bridgewater, such as the 4th of July, which has been used in the past. So a very generous gift and a thank you on behalf of the town of Bridgewater and the Bridgewater Town Council to that trust and the Lepecki family as well, too. I will take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Council Lindy,
I don't care.
seconded.
Doesn't matter.
Motion made by Council Lindy, seconded by Councilor Spagone. Any discussion on this piece? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Moving on to Order O, FY 27-007, acceptance of gift, Bridgewater State University. Any updates from the town manager?
Hi. We did receive a gift from Bridgewater State totaling $110,000. The vote was accepted to accept the gift of $60,000 from BSU and to expend the gift in accordance with the stated purpose. It was additional $50,000, I believe, on top of the $60,000, so it increased. We'd like to say we're really happy about that.
Thank you. I'll take a motion from the council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Spagone, seconded by Councilor Hunt. Any discussion on the matter? I will just note myself, we did talk about this in great depth at the Budget and Finance meeting with the Finance Committee. Thankful for this gift, but I did do further research, and from what I could find, there are no other state institutions that make a gift to their local community in this manner. And so I didn't come across any that make it in this manner in addition. So I thought that was a very generous gift that comes from Bridgewater State. I would say that because our state representatives are in the room, the funding that we get from the state to be able to support an institution like Bridgewater, while it provides great benefits to our community, I still believe falls far below and beyond what the town could receive for supporting an institution, a state institution like Bridgewater State. So
The UMass system, I believe Councilor Kenny has spoken on this in their cherry sheet agreement specific to just the UMass system, is something that I think we would love to see expanded or looked at in terms of all state institutions. And so just something for our state legislation. I know we've talked and you've all been supportive in those conversations as well too, but figured I'd take the opportunity while you're here. With that being said, I will take a motion, I will take the vote to accept the gift. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to Order O FY 27-009, transfer order for the library budget reallocation. Any comments from the town manager?
Hi, I'm going to pass this along to Laurie, our finance director.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President and fellow councilors. This transfer order before you is, it's a reallocation of funds that's already voted in the fiscal 27 budget. We are reallocating funds that were in the expenditure lines into the salary lines, which will give the town a better standing for certification because the monies will be spent on salaries. So, yep, this is the measure before you tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. I will take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Council Lindy, seconded by Councilor Spagone, and then open for discussion. Any discussion by the council? I think we also discussed this in great length at Budget and Finance meeting. And I didn't mention the previous two gifts for Councilor McGrath voted 3-0 to approve in Budget and Finance. This also was voted 3-0 to approve in Budget and Finance and 5-0 by Finance Committee.
That's correct.
Okay, seeing no more additional comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to Order O FY 27-010, transfer order finance budget reallocation. I will defer to the town manager if there are any updates.
I'm going to let Laurie speak on this one also.
Thank you, Mr. President and fellow councilors. This measure before you is reallocating funding from the Treasurer Collector's Office into the Assessor's Office. This opportunity happened when one of the staff members moved on, and there was, instead of filling a vacancy in the Treasurer Collector's Office, in our whole finance operations, assessing, treasury, collection, and accounting, we felt the gap of the work and the finance allocation would be helpful to the assessors for this purpose. So it would not add anything to the budget, it's just reallocating funds.
Thank you. I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Spagone, seconded by Councilor Ellenberg. Again, any updates from Budget and Finance?
Budget and Finance voted 3-0 to recommend, and Finance Committee voted 5-0 to recommend.
Okay. Any additional discussion? Seeing none.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I did have a question for Laurie through you to her. Laurie, thank you for coming in tonight. I had a quick question regarding the reallocation. You mentioned it's going to go for the assessor's office. There was a need for an additional part-time staffer, if I remember correctly, in that office. Will this help to fund that position for that part-time amount?
Yes, that's correct. So the original budget had a part-time staff into that office, but it was cut when we had to do budget cutbacks. And then when the unions were negotiated with cut hours, the hours in the collector's office with the position was cut to 25 hours, so the funding is just moving from the collections to the assessors. So.
An additional question, Mr. President. Laurie, sorry. So this will allow that position to be filled for this fiscal year. Is it foreseen that that will be allowed to continue going into FY '28 when we get to that point? Is that something that's going to be for a long term, or is this just a temporary one time?
No.
I think that would be at the discretion of the town manager in terms of if someone's employed and how they're employed and how they fill any positions.
Thank you.
Do we have any idea of what that would look like right now, or?
No, that would be at the town manager's discretion about who he fills in terms of employment opportunities.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions from the council? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to Order O FY 27-011, transfer order, funding of fire arbitration. Will defer to the town manager.
Yes, hi. I'd like to say that under Chapter 589 and under Chapter 150E, as the town manager said before, we on the bargaining team have an obligation to support funding for the JLMC award, and we do support that funding.
Thank you. I will take a motion from the council.
Motion to approve?
Motion made by Councilor Kennedy,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilor Spigot. Thank you. Open for discussion. I'll take Councilor Trocchio and then Councilor Kennedy.
Is it okay if I call the union president up? Jim Reedy? Is that appropriate? Am I allowed to do that?
If you vote to suspend the rules, I suppose you
Someone make a
could.
motion for me to suspend the rules.
Well, you're going to make the motion.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Ellenberg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-0. Okay.
Union president, can you come up real quick? So I think there's a lot of misconception amongst this council and the board and the public as to the processes of an arbitration agreement and what are the potential consequences if this council doesn't approve it. So my biggest concern is if this council doesn't approve it, what are the consequences to this town, for the fire department, and what would potentially happen if we don't approve this tonight?
So essentially, we would confer with legal counsel and go from there. Obviously, it would be a detriment to this town. It would just basically signal that they don't believe in the process. All we're asking for is to honor the process. We've been through the process, and this is the end. I'll reiterate to the point, like I said before, obviously we have a no strike clause in our contract. This is how we get through things. We can't not show up to work. The citizens, depend on us, and we have some hardworking men and women that work there. So there would be consequences. We would use, the full strength of the professional firefighters and the national firefighters. We've made this professional all the way up to this point, and the goal of Local 2611 is to continue to be professional, transparent, and make sure that everything is on the table. That's why we're willing to help. That's why we're bringing the numbers, the figures, and everything. Like I said, obviously, it would just be a bad black mark on this town if they weren't behind labor. And I could see if this was just, obviously we negotiated for a month and we were coming back and we were trying to push through a contract. That is not the case here. The case is 700 plus days without a contract and a can kick of 3 town managers, 2 town managers and an interim. So, as I said, we would use the full weight and power of what we have behind us, to make sure that, that what is known is known. So I encourage you guys to do the right thing, fund this, put this behind us, and it's not going to be fun for us. We're back at the table in a few months. I got to write a letter to the town manager probably in October to sit back down with you guys. So, I think the right thing would be put the funding forward and let's put this behind us. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm all set.
Councilor McGrath.
I have a couple of questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I went to Councilor Kennedy. I did promise he was next.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So with this, we've obviously heard from the union president, and thank you for coming up to speak. As a retired disabled firefighter myself, my first inclination is to support the fire department. I know what those guys go through. I know what bargaining processes look like, and that's something that I want to support. I did receive a couple phone calls. There was some communication there. And even in those phone calls, what I had told those guys at first was I need to look at all the information because my role right now is a town councilor, and it's to do what's in the best interest of the town. So I did that. I looked through what the fire department was awarded, how the town, in my opinion, is favored in the arbitration itself, what they decided to award the fire department and some of the changes that are there. In most municipalities, the goal is to generally try to keep the fire department and police department on fairly equal footing based on pay and benefits. What I found while trying to compare those were they were very similar in a lot of ways. There are a couple of things that the fire department is a little bit ahead on, and there's a few things that the police department's ahead on. But based on the award itself, I think, and along with going through the entire process, which is a costly process for the union and the town, I think it benefits us as a council to award this to the fire department, move past this, and allow them to start bargaining fresh instead of restarting the entire process all over again. It's gone on for quite a while. I think the town was favored, and I think we do owe it to the firefighters in this town to support them, pay them, and move on from this. Thank you.
Councilor McGrath.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was wondering, if the college education, is it a state, they can go to any college? Can they go to BSU? Are they limited to go to community college? I mean, how much is the pay? You know what I mean? If I want to go for my associates, can I go to a high-end college, or might I have to stay down to a cheaper college?
Yeah, that's been clarified in the process, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll allow anybody else.
I
Go
can
ahead.
chime on that. So typically, with any fire department, to receive that pay, it has to be associated to the job. So if it's a fire science, if it's municipal management, emergency management is a big one. It has to be related to it. The college itself isn't what we're paying for. We're paying we'd be paying a percentage based on the degree that firefighter has. So if it's associated, they have that degree, they get that increase, or they get, it's a transfer from a stipend to a percentage at this point, and they would receive that whether it's an associate's, a bachelor's, or a master's degree at that level of education.
So it's based on their pay?
It's based on their pay, yeah.
Okay, the other thing is, I was just curious why, with all the other negotiations we made, all the other employees did bring down the percentage of their payout to 25, and the fire department didn't want to. Do you know why? Where we paid the town, when we did other negotiations, the town's paying 75% of the health insurance, and the other ones are paying 25, but
You're talking about, if you don't mind, Mr. President?
Sure, go ahead.
You're talking about the fire department having an 80-20 split, and most of the departments going to 75-25?
All the other negotiated at 75-25.
That's what was awarded through the arbitration. So for the arbitrator working through the process and looking at what was available for both what the town had for funding, our financial situation, and what the union was requesting, they awarded a continuation of what they currently have, which is a 75-25.
And the other question, I got an email.
Sorry, an 80-20.
Yeah, this
Remains at 80-20.
Yeah, it's remaining at an 80-20.
I
They weren't
was
awarded
just wondering
anything.
why they didn't, all the other employees did with the negotiation. And the other thing is, are you Chris O'Reilly?
No.
He's a firefighter.
He's a lot more handsomer.
Oh, okay. So I got an email from him, and he said that you're so understaffed, it's ridiculous. Is it true?
Ms. McGrath, if we're going to allow Mr. Reed
Yeah,
to speak
sorry.
again, I would just take another vote to suspend the rules.
Okay,
I'm okay with that,
I'm sorry.
but
I thought we were continuing because he's already up there.
Well, I wanted to,
let's just be formal about it and do it the right way, if that's
Okay.
okay. If you wanna
Motion
make
to
another
suspend the rules.
Thank you,
Second.
Council Lindy, seconded by Councilor Scone. All those in favor?
Aye.
so first step off, I'll touch base on your question about the 85-25
Okay.
for the split. So how it works is essentially when we entered that third-party impartial decision with the state, we get an award, obviously. So we hear back from our legal counsel and our representative from the PFFM, and they go over the award. So once that award was given, it was described to us that essentially the JMLC, the state, is seeing the forecasting in health insurance and essentially does not want to touch it. So they just don't want to set precedents. So when people go to JMLC moving forward, they can go back to prior cases and go, well, you awarded this, you awarded that. That was not on us. You know, initially when we've been talking through, off the record bargaining with the town and stuff, we understood that the whole town was accepting 75-25. So it was one of our things in the bargaining. Essentially, we knew that, okay, well, it sounds like everybody else is going to do it. It's a bargaining ship, and that's why they call it bargaining. So, back and forth. unfortunately, the award's the award. So what I'd like to get to is essentially like, we can't help what that third party found out and essentially established. At the end of that award, what we're trying to convey to you guys is essentially, once that's awarded, it just needs to be funded, and it's just the ability to pay. I think that's one thing that got misconstrued at the Financing Committee meeting is, you could look at the award and you can pick and cherry pick everything and go, well, I don't like this and I don't like that. This was reviewed by an impartial party, and this was the award. And essentially, it's based on if the town has the ability to pay. And the town has the ability to pay. So it's just, we're trying to here with our delegation and everything, just to make sure that nothing gets worse. Like I said, like the can kick, the 700+ days, the 3 town managers, we're looking to move on. And it's an award from an impartial party.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, about, are you so understaffed, it's ridiculous?
Yes, I mean, unfortunately, there's only so many things that we've had to do to, make sure that, I'll give you an example, to have suppression on the east side of town. And, we do a nice job with getting 2 ambulances on the road. I can tell you right now, this community needs 3. I mean, the run volume is 15 to 20 run volumes a day. I know that our management's doing their due diligence to make sure that there's every avenue being sought after, federal funding, safer grants, et cetera, et cetera. We have a really good lockstep relationship with our management.
How many staff are you under?
I mean, a community this size, the problem is we're a city with small town problems.
Yeah.
So essentially, I mean, to be outfitted properly, I would say probably 15 to 17. We're at 11 right now, and we're filling that due diligently. I will say the effort of our members has been incredible. An outfit our size, we would usually have a tough time, filling overtime slots and orders in. I can tell you the effort from my membership is we haven't ordered in. And that speaks volumes that guys want to come to work, they want to put their best foot forward. So, but yes, I would say, for on the record, we're understaffed.
So if we pass this, do you think it would be more difficult for our town to afford to staff more?
No.
You don't think so?
No, this is just a step in the process, essentially. Like everybody else has conveyed, they're coming up to, this is a very modest and fair offer. And I think what I want to go over again, too, is we have a problem in Massachusetts. There's not a lot of paramedics. There's not a lot of people going to school. The pool is getting low. So if we send a signal that we're not compensated appropriately for the amount of run volume, there are communities right now that are getting paid more to do less. And if that's advertised as seen, why would someone come work here and work as hard as we're working and not be compensated appropriately?
Are you still doing overtime?
Yes. But essentially, obviously, that's more than your 2 24s a week. So that's a lot for guys. And I'll tell you, our membership has stepped up.
And it takes a toll on families.
Correct.
So I understand that.
Correct.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
clarifying.
Any other questions before I?
Not a question, but a comment. I just want to thank your financial person for the information that we got. I think that's very helpful. I wish
Absolutely.
we had it before.
Anything we can do to, make the process easier, we're looking to work with the town.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Any additional comments on this?
Can I request a roll call?
Yeah, I'll wait till we get to that point. but
Okay.
yes.
Sure. Through you, Madam Mr. President, just comments that the Finance Committee had on their budget and finance. The deliberation obviously came through the vote. What were the discussions and the decision on the vote? Is there anyone who can summarize that?
Councilor McGrath, do you want to?
The Budget and Finance voted 3-0 to not recommend, and the Finance voted 5-0 not to recommend. But I got to say, hearing from the fire department and getting more information, we really didn't have that information. So I think that would have made a difference.
I would just add, Councilor Perry, from my own personal standpoint, when I spoke at the meeting, my major concern is the education benefit and the insurance piece. Those are the two that stuck out to me, and eliminating the political aspect and the deserved pay for those folks in the room and what they do. It's tough to swallow this as a sustainable budget and contract for our town, in my personal view. Effective 7/1/26, associate's degree is 15%, bachelor's degree 20%, master's degree 25%. There's back pay involved in that piece. It's something that's not outlined in this agreement as well, too, is our firefighters have the opportunity to attend BSU and take classes at BSU. That's not in the agreement, but that's something that the town does for our firefighters. So I have major concerns about whether the town can fund this and going forward and sustain this contract. And that was my response at the finance committee, just so you hear my points.
Yeah, just point me, I believe the agreement was, 5%, 6.5%, and 7.5%. I think that's what Mr. Reedy was coming up to correct. But that was the award. That was, the proposal was those different levels, and I was, originally confused on that originally, but seeing that the award is, 5, 6.5, and 7.5%, I'm not sure if that's what was discussed at the
Yeah,
Budget
sorry.
and Finance.
My perception of it and where it's going is my concern. So
Yeah.
establishing this precedent of paying a percentage for an education fee is not a sustainable practice in my eyes for our town.
I understand, and, I have similar concerns. I spoke with that when I spoke with a firefighter, reached out to me. Again, mentioning at the Quinn Bill with the police, obviously has some higher percentages. And between what's been awarded and what police get, and then certainly at the opposing situation when it comes to insurance, it does seem to be balancing out in those regards. My overall concern, however, is, going forward into next fiscal year, I think we are going to reach an unattainable situation across the board, which I am afraid what might mean for public safety in general, unless, again, the town entertains an override vote. But on the surface of things, again, it's something that, again, once it's been brought up here this evening with the firefighters, it does sway me to support at this point in time. And then we'll obviously have to figure out what we're going to have to do to fund it going forward. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more question, Mr. President. So this contract is good until the end of 2027 or 2028? I forget.
It's got to end of this fiscal year.
Okay, so it ends in 2027 and then we renegotiate?
That's correct.
Mr. Reed spoke about that.
Okay. I just want to clarify because, if we feel it's too much, we can always negotiate to bring stuff down. So.
Any additional comments?
No.
Councilor Kenny?
I just wanted to clarify from the back and forth, what we have in here is the award given effective July 1st, 2026, is associate's degree 5%, bachelor's 6.5%, master's 7.5%. And that's what the award was, as opposed to, when people are looking at this, there's union proposal, town proposal, findings, awards, and it's all laid out over multiple sheets. So I just want to make sure that that was clarified.
Thank you. Yes.
Council.
Councilor Lindy?
I do share your concerns. I just wish we had the financial information at our Budget and Finance Committee meeting to look at and consider when we were making that decision. And I would like to ask for a roll call vote.
Of course. Any additional comments before we take the vote?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I would stress to my colleagues that this was an effort that was done with the fire department and the town of Bridgewater. This was a lot of time and treasure, as it were, to invest in talking this through and taking care of it in the way they have. We're obligated by law to undertake this. I recognize that there is a financial difficulty. If Mr. Reddy's compatriots' figures are correct, we could get the funding from the other accounts. The ambulance receipt reserve account is certainly a sufficient fund with which to service this. Even if we couldn't fund it from the stabilization fund, if we do it from ambulance receipts, it sounds as if it's a sustainable over a long period of time. That being said, I don't think there's that much challenge to deal with funding this contract going forward. Now, I'm looking at that from a long term. I get that there's trepidation about it, but to not support this would be doing a disservice to the efforts that the management team has undertaken in good faith through arbitration, and the fire department doing their part on their side of the arbitration, and it would be considered a waste of time on the part of the impartial third party having done it for us. So I think to do otherwise would be a slap in the face to everybody involved. So I would support this vigorously.
Any additional comments? Debbie, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Ellenberg?
I respect the process, therefore my vote is yes.
Ms. Pagone?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Dr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Trocchio?
Yes.
Dr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
And Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you all for that, and thank you all for attending the meeting tonight and all you do for Bridgewater. I'm glad we were able to make progress and move on from that. Thank you.
Mr. President, I just have a question on this. It was coming from a certain pot of money. Is there possible that we can have a discussion at some point to?
Now,
Fine.
why don't we take a 5-minute recess if we
Okay.
can here? And so,
Motion
motion made by
recess.
Councilor
Second.
Kennedy. Seconded by Councilor Lindy, sorry.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
5 minutes.
20 minutes.
Oh, I'm tired of sitting.
All right, thank you all. We'll pick up the agenda with item F under legislation for action. That's zoning ordinance D FY 26014, amendments to the central business district regulations. We have sent this to the CED in planning board. CED voted 3-0 and planning board voted 5-0 to approve. I don't know if there's any additional comments that you'd like to make, Councilor
I think
Hunt.
that's pretty much it. It's going out.
Excellent. And I know there are some amendments before us, so I will take any motions that are on the table.
I'm going to make a motion to send this back with the amendments to be reviewed.
Second.
Send it back to CED and planning.
CED and planning for the amendments.
Okay, seconded by Councilor Lindy. Any discussion on that motion?
I would vote the amendments first, and then I would send it back.
Okay.
Because you want it in the form that they're going to review. So I would do a vote for the amendments, and then once, if they pass, then I would send it back.
So, Mr. President, I'll make the motion.
Mr. President, I'll rescind my motion.
Thank you.
So, Mr. President, I'll make a motion for the amendments listed under this zoning ordinance.
Second?
A motion made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Spigot. Any discussion?
Again, just, it's basically after an initial discussion between CED and the planning board, many of these revisions came on up, so they already, the vetting has been started, but this will just allow this to be sent back and for further and final review to bring back to us.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Councilor
Thank you,
McGrath.
Mr. President. I was the one that held it up last time because we had confusion over it, and I met with the chair, Pat Driscoll, and they had sent out in a memo that they weren't going to do the amendments that were on the separate sheets, so it was a miscommunication. So these are fine now.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor of the amendments?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Amendments have been approved. Take any other motion to refer?
I'll again make a motion to send this to CED and planning board.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Lindy. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to ordinance D FY 26016, proposed zoning ordinance amendment, high-intensity data centers. This is, has been, we will vote to refer to advertising. CED and planning board voted unanimously to recommend at a joint public hearing. Councilor Hunt, I don't know if there's anything to add.
No.
Nothing to add?
Did Kevin have something to add?
Mr. President, I'd certainly like to make a motion to change facility size from 25,000 square feet down to 5,000 square feet. And second for discussion, because I'd like to, as a sponsor of this, ask a question to you on the number.
I'll second.
So motion made to amend, is, I would assume, under section 11.
C, facility size.
To,
Change 25,000 square feet or more to 5,000 square feet or more.
Okay, and seconded by Councilor Lindy for discussion.
So with that, Mr. Murphy, or Dr. Murphy, I know you're the author of this. Any particular source that you got the 25,000 square feet from, or why we went with this number originally?
Sounds like the worst test in the world. You have to remember back. I will tell you, I did some research nationwide on what some similar legislation looked like that had been taken up. I believe it is the town of Mansfield who also connected, and I spoke with Councilor Chirocchio. It connected me, and a few other folks I think had mentioned them. So I did pull language directly from theirs as well too, and I'm not sure about this particular exact size, whether that came from there, but that was the sort of source of my data.
Thank you. And again, my motion's made just to potentially, limit, even smaller facility sizes to setting up shop here in town. So I stand by my motion to reduce that to 5,000 square feet or more.
I would just ask a return question of you. I know this went through CED and Planning Board, of which you're on. Did that come up there? Or?
Yes, exactly. That was under discussion, and it seemed to be general consensus on both sides to
Okay.
look to reduce that number.
That's helpful. Any additional discussion on the amendment?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, so that's been amended.
So I would similarly, because it's much more restrictive now, obviously that's a much smaller size, going to create more of a restriction. I would send it back to the planning board and for a joint meeting of the CED, just to make sure it goes through the process formally.
Okay.
So a motion made to send back to CED and Planning Board for discussion.
I have a motion.
Could I ask a question about that?
Let's second.
I'll
Are you
second it.
asking a
I'll
question about the
second.
motion?
Yeah, second, and ask a question.
Okay, so the motion been made by Councilor Perry to send back to CED and Planning, seconded by Councilor Hunt. Now you may ask your question.
And my question is just if the three of us on CED are here already and voting for it, could it just go back to the planning board?
So the way we've done it historically is held it as a joint meeting.
Okay.
Often, there are mechanisms in which, and we've never done it this way, but towns do, wherein the entire body actually hears the zoning amendments, meaning the body, meaning the town council, and then the planning board is a completely separate thing. We've always done it jointly so that some of that vetting happens outside of your purview, and by the time it gets to you, it's just really to
Okay.
you on a vote. So I would say there is a mechanism by which, yes, you could do that, but I think the way that we've always procedurally done it has been to hold it as a joint meeting. I think it's just the most efficient way to do it.
Okay, makes sense.
Go to Councilor Spigot.
Yep. Mr. President, I first wanted to say I appreciate that you put this before the council and it's come back to us. I know I had a separate measure myself, a data center ordinance for zoning and environmental regulation, or as I call it, the Dozer Act. Unfortunately, have not been able to submit that for amendment. What it would do is actually serve to strengthen the legislation that you have. I would love to submit that as an amendment to your legislation, but I'm not sure what the process would be at this point with which to submit that.
So you'd have a couple options. So if it made it additionally restrictive and you waited until it went back through the committees and then came back to you and then made the amendment, you'd have to send it back. The other alternative is you could make a motion to continue this to the next date, and then at the next date, you could bring your amendments, vote on them then, and then send it out, which may just expedite the process by, one extra meeting or so. I think I see those as the two, if you don't have the amendments ready now to articulate, I see those as, you do have them?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, well, I think that,
I sent it both to you and to the council president a few weeks back.
again, I wouldn't know what you're actually amending on it. That a proposal, you'd have to be specific to your amendment of this. So you could make an amendment absolutely tonight, and if you vote the amendment tonight, then that can all go back. But you would have to be specific about what you're amending and what's in front of us.
Considering the length of which the document is, it might take some time,
That's
and
what I
I'm
was
pretty sure
assuming.
nobody wants to be here past
Yeah.
10:30. So your suggestion would probably be, or your guidance would be, is that I make a motion to continue it, and we would work on it from there. Correct?
I think the most prudent thing to do is to get it to a state at this level that you all are comfortable with before you send it back out to committees. Because once you send it back out to committees, you don't want to keep getting it back and sending it out.
Right.
So if you're not comfortable yet with the state that it's in, the only mechanism that I see, well, there's two. You can create the amendment now and send it out. Or if it's not ready, you just make the motion to continue. Those are the two options.
We do have a motion on the table for CED and Planning Board at the moment, so.
Yes.
Just so folks are aware.
Yep.
Councilor McGrath?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a good foundation, but I think that we should be aware that, like Lowell, like what Ms. Hanson said, Lowell, because they didn't designate it a certain area, it can be put in there, and right now Lowell's fighting against for that thing to be expanded, their data session. So I think we need to watch all this stuff because, the state could change, and who knew that the state would force us to have MBTA and sue us if we didn't? So I think the State House seems to be really supporting data centers. So I think when when we keep an eye on it, we really have to define, to make sure we define it only going into a commercial space, so they can never put it in. So I think this is great, but I think we have to keep an eye to keep amending this and keep ahead of the, whatever laws the state passes.
So Perry?
Thank you, Mr. President. So basically, this start is a very good basis, as discussed before with CED and the Planning Board. Again, it's basically amending our table of uses to have a no in all zoning districts. So whether it's residential, commercial, it's not going to any district here. But my question is through you, Mr. President, to Councilor Spagone. Is there much difference in what you had written up versus what we have here that would make that much of a difference in the ordinance itself? Because again, we are, basically keeping it relatively simple, and with each thing that's listed here under the definitions, pretty much, would limit just about anything that would come into this town based on, again, how much power it would use, how much water it would use, and facility size. And it just needs to be any one or more of the following. You just need to have that criteria, not necessarily all of them.
It's unfortunate that the council does not have a draft of my legislation before them to read it and review it. In my eyes, it's a substantial addition that gives greater protection to the town, especially from the environmental aspect of it, so that we're mitigating any circumstances where the council president's legislation gives us a good foundation. This enhances that by providing additional points of requirements, limitations, and restrictions that will further protect the town. I think it's a bit more thorough, but if it's in the interest of expediency to get a item in place, I'm more than happy to offer it at this point, knowing the circumstances of how this is going to take. I'm more than happy to offer it up at a later time so that this can get put into place now, and we can use this proposal that I have to tighten it up and make things stronger for us. Because even though things are changing, they're changing very rapidly, but it seems like the environmental impacts are becoming more well-known, and how it's going to actually affect people's electric bills and their water usage and the availability of water resources. I think my legislation kind of addresses that strongly, and I want to try to, keep on adding in protections. So I think right now, the way this is languaged out, I think it's stronger, but I also don't want to impede what we've already got going right now actually talking it out. So I would like to actually at some point offer this up as a separate piece of legislation so we can add on to it. I mean, Congress does it all the time. They pass a law, then they have to create another law to pass to fix their problems that they did before. So I'm more than happy to do that at that point.
Councilor Kennedy?
I'll defer for a moment to allow the councilors to discuss this.
So, yeah, thank you. So I would just say that, again, this does create a start. I don't think we have anything immediately pending, something coming into town, so I don't think it's a super rush, and I'd rather not see it go back to a joint meeting and then make more changes and then go back to another joint meeting, because we've already reviewed this as written. So I will go ahead and rescind my motion to send it back if we want to continue this for one more meeting. And so Ms. Spagone can bring up her legislation and see if we can meld the two before we send it back to a joint committee.
I would only like to comment before Councilor Kennedy. I guess my viewpoint on this would be to, as you've mentioned, and Councilor McGrath mentioned, that I think it's always going to be a working document. It's a zoning ordinance, so zoning in itself, I feel like, is something always that's evolving over time. My feeling is the town is very vulnerable to something happening at the moment, and while we don't know, or I'm not aware of anything pending, I would like to see some kind of foundation be put into place, and then it to be continued to be worked on and refined, and hopefully continued to be watched as we kind of go forward and see how these things evolve. So I would like to see this evening that we pass this motion, put this into place, and then continue to work on what the next step looks like to update. And that's something we could do at the next meeting. I mean, there's no time limitation on when we update, but that would be my suggestion. And I know Councilor Kennedy also wanted to speak as well.
Yes, I'm going to offer kind of a different opinion on this. I'm going to continue to support this as a foundational piece to have something in place, because I think we need something in place. But what I do want to say is there's a lot of this in the news right now. There are other parts of the country with significantly more land than we have available, doing all kinds of things to their environments, water resources for those local towns. They're really pushing these through, and I understand the need for something there, so I will support this. However, I want to be cautious that we don't eliminate smart commercial use. I also want to be cautious that we aren't, and I don't, to my knowledge, believe we have any in the town, but I would like it known whether or not we have any data centers currently in the town. And there are data centers that do not use water. They are more expensive to build. They've been around for years. There are data centers that are essentially using the same water as a large warehouse, as one example. There's concerns over, obviously, the electrical load and increasing service and everyone else's electrical bills in those associated towns because they're basically using more and increasing the cost of that. So this is good, and I'm going to support it, but I just want to make sure that we are aware that there are data centers that do exist that don't do what is being portrayed in the news at the moment for these enormous AI data centers. So just as a caution, we don't want to limit ourselves from commercial buildings going up that may be beneficial to the tax base due to trying to eliminate like what we're seeing in the news, which is large-scale destruction of environment and resources for their local towns that were, a lot of this is going on in the Midwest and down south. Just as a caution. That's all I wanted to put out there.
So with that, Mr. President, I'll keep my motion in place.
Okay, we have a motion to continue.
No, this was send it to joint committee once again.
So you
To
rescinded
get
the
something,
motion.
I'm not rescinding it, no, I'm keeping my motion to send it to joint committee.
Okay.
To review this, to get something on the books.
Okay, and we had a second on that by Councilor Hunt. I
Counselor
believe.
Hunt, yes.
Okay. No more discussion on that piece? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to proposed zoning ordinance D FY 26018, zoning ordinance to amend words pertaining to town council. And I will defer to Councilor McGrath.
Thank you, Mr. President. I put this forward because according to the Bridgewater Town Charter, the town council is responsible for making, amending, or repealing laws. Nowhere in the town charter does it state that the town council shall be issuing special permits or rendering advisory reviews on comments on site plans.
Thank you. Any update from Councilor Hunt on the CED meeting?
No, that's pretty much what we discussed and agreed on and put it out there for you to.
And I
It's
will-
taking the town council out of it.
We'll note that CEDC and Planning Board both voted unanimously to approve. Any additional?
Motion to send to advertising?
Second.
Seconded by Council Lindy. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to proposed ordinance D FY 27001, amend Part 2 Administrative Code, Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 24, Order of Business and Agenda. I will refer to myself.
Nicely done.
This was to update the town council agenda requirements in terms of when items need to be submitted for the upcoming agenda for the town council meeting. This is in accordance to the new hour change within our town hall. It just brings us in line with that piece. So hopefully the council has already been aware of that situation. We have been operating under that, but this formalizes it. And so no additional items from me. So I will take a motion.
Motion to approve?
No,
Or
motion to
motion
send
to-
to advertising.
Oh, motion to advertise.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Perry. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 9-0. Okay, moving on, item M, old business, we have none. Item N, new business. The first one is Order O FY 26013, Town Council acceptance of proposed traffic ticket fees. I will refer to the town manager.
Okay, we are proposing an increase in our fees, just to be comparable to neighboring towns and also neighboring communities and also BSU.
Thank you. I will take a motion by the council to refer to Budget and Finance Committee.
Motion to refer?
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Spigot, seconded by Counselor Lindy. Any additional discussion before we refer? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to Order O FY 27014, order establishing a financial feasibility study regarding the potential withdrawal of pre-kindergarten through grade 8 from the Bridgewater-Rainham Regional School District. We'll refer to Counselor McGrath if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. President. Some of the things we looked at is because the capital funding would actually go to capital funding, and we find that we've give capital funding to the schools before, and we still have things that it wasn't used for. A lot of it's been used for whatever purpose they decide. The town of Rainham had given a gift, and it's a gift, but if they give it next year as a budget, it's going to require us to raise our contribution. And I've heard from parents about the children that are going into a closet. I think if we have the kids here, we can make our own programs for them and be careful of what's going on. So it's just to look at it and to see what we can do.
Thank you. I will take a motion, and I will actually make a motion to refer to Rules and Procedures Committee. I feel like this, with its complication, I feel like require some thorough review of the process before we get into the reason. So I will make that motion to refer to Rules and Procedures.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Lindy. Any discussion? Counselor Perry?
Yes, I'm not really in favor of this. I think it sends a bad message. I do feel that, ultimately to do something along this is going to cost the town a whole lot more money. And again, I think having this discussion is just sending a bad message. It's very rare that a regionalized town pulls back its portion of it from a regional system. Again, it would put more of an onus on us as a town to come up with additional monies for the admin of it, special education, transportation, everything across the board. And I think, looking at, as it's written, to look at that financial feasibility, I think that's certainly what's going to come from that. But I think the discussion of something along these lines does create a little bit of a negative that we're looking to secede from a union, so to speak. And so I'm not really greatly in favor of following through on this order. I don't know. You made a motion to refer it, but I should have originally made a motion to table. But I will see how if any other councils wanted to speak to it. But I really think this is not a move in a good direction.
Any additional comments from the council? Counselor Lindy?
I think we should look into it, whether we favor it or not. I think we should just do our due diligence.
Counselor Kennedy?
I think we should look into it. I think this has been an issue in a few ways when it comes to the budget. Our transportation costs for all of these grades is quite a bit, and we are required to provide all that transportation by the state. We don't have a choice because we are a school, we are a district with another town. I think it's worth looking into. It leaves the high school, which is a joint high school at the moment. The majority of special education, at least at grades K through 2, is already at the Mitchell. Rainham, I don't believe, has the same level of special education at that level. I'm not entirely sure of the other ones, but I think it would be good to look into exactly if this is a process that we would seriously consider or not. And it is a discussion that's, at least in my time being on the council, has come up with other councilors. It's also come up with some of the members of the public. I feel like it is a large undertaking to do something like this. But at the same time, that undertaking has to start somewhere. If we reach a roadblock where we feel like it's not worth it, then I think the council will have to realize that as well. So I think it's reasonable to open the discussion up.
I would just like to clarify to you that I think making the motion to refer to Rules and Procedures from my standpoint is a good first step to find out how we start this process and ensure that we're following our procedures to do so. Ideally, I would like to see the legislation then referred to Budget and Finance, which I think is what Ms. McGrath puts in here. to then talk about the feasibility and the cost of what something like this would look at. Like I said, I think we're a long way away from any actual discussion about withdrawal. I think this is just strictly what would take place to make that happen, to have that conversation. And so that's sort of why I made the motion where I'd like to see it go. Councilor Sagon and then Councilor Kennedy.
I do have a question, Mr. President. I'm a little, I guess I'd have to say I'm ambivalent towards this. What was the genesis of this proposal? And is there an equivalent one on the other side of the town border in Rainham? And further to that, if this were, let's just game this out, if this went to a feasibility study, would this entail, if we took our pre-K through 8 out of the district, will we still be paying for Rainham's kids to do pre-K through 8 in the district? Just want to make sure I'm clear on those points.
I can answer those questions, MJ.
Hold on one moment. I did say Councilor Kennedy speak next, so I just want to make sure he's okay with that for you responding. I would just emphasize again, Councilor Spigot, I think we're so far off from having those specific conversations that, like, I wouldn't want to see us get bogged down in those, because I think they're good questions, but they're a long way off from probably being answered. But I'll defer to Councilor Kennedy and then.
I'm going to emphasize this because the public is listening to these kinds of conversations, and I want to ensure that the public understands that this is in such a preliminary level of looking at something like this that I don't want to see people looking at where are my kids going to go to school next year.
Right.
This is something that is not something that can be done in the short term. It would be a long-term endeavor. So just to clarify that, everyone's kids are going to wherever their schools are coming in September. So this isn't going to affect that. This is just to simply look into this at the moment. So,
Thank you, yeah.
So I looked into the agreement, and it's true, it's going to take a long time. If we did a whole year, you have to get it in before July 1st of the next year. So there's no way it's going to get in before July of next year, most likely. And so because I looked at the agreement, we can withdraw. You're allowed to withdraw. It's in the agreement when we came together and how to withdraw. So there are steps in for it.
I guess I have a follow-up. If I remember with the regional agreement, if we were to, I would see this as probably as a partial deregionalization. If we go through a partial deregionalization, if I remember correctly, does the agreement actually cause the town to actually have to buy out anything from the district? Or I think that would relate back to the school buildings like Mitchell, Williams, Bridgewater Middle.
Again, I'll just say, Councilor Spigot.
That's something that, during this process, we'd look at. It's only a process, to look at teachers, contracts and
Ms.
stuff.
McGrath, I think, again, I'll keep emphasizing, I think we're right now just voting on sending it to rules and procedures to see even how we approach something like this, right? Like, anything requiring details is a long, long way away. But again, there are probably a million questions.
And again, this is an order establishing a financial feasibility study regarding this. That's all that this order says, which would be a beginning stage is to even to collect information to do something later on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just establishing a financial feasibility study. So however rules and procedure moves forward on that, we will take a look at that. I definitely think it goes to budget, and then we go from there.
Okay, so the motion was made by me, seconded by Councilors Lindy. Any additional discussion? All those in favor of sending it to rules and procedures?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 8-1. Moving on to the order OFY 27015, laying out and accepting a private way, Whispering Wood. I will refer to our specialist on accepting private ways, Councilor Kennedy.
This is located in my district, the District of Private Ways. The intent is just to refer to the planning board. We've had quite a few of these come through. I will say this, though, for the council. We did receive information through the process of doing this previously that said that it was Massachusetts state law that we have to accept these. That was looked into after by myself and at the time another counselor, and that information wasn't entirely correct. So I'll look into that again to provide information to the council. But at the moment, this is just to refer to the planning board.
Actually, I have on here, Council, maybe you can help me with this. Do we have to take a vote Jason? Do we have to take a vote of intent to take the way, or can we just simply send it to planning board?
You take 2 votes.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, so we do have to take a
Yes.
vote first to
correct.
take the way, intent to take the way.
Through you to council, the vote to intent starts the process to allow the planning board to investigate the taking of a private way, correct?
Yes.
So I'll make a motion with the intent to take the private way.
Thank you. Do I have a second? I'll second that. Any discussion?
Actually, wasn't, going back, I know Whispering Wood had some water runoff problems and a retention area type of thing. I believe that was some controversy back in the day about it. Has that all been rectified at this point, do you know?
I do not have that information,
Okay.
Counselor.
I do. I litigated that case for about 4 years, so we could talk about that
So again,
later.
being the longest standing member of this council, I know we went over this in
I
the
have
past.
plenty of information. I was the attorney, so, yeah.
There is, Counselor Perry, a lot of information about drainage in the packet as well, too, for your entertainment.
Oh, yes, for my entertainment. There we go.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? This is again a vote to intent to take the way. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-0. I will take a motion to refer to planning board,
Moved.
Second.
made by Counselor Kennedy, seconded by Counselor Spagone. Any discussion on this piece? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to Order O FY 27016, transfer order, CPC restoration of the, oh man,
Osamaquin.
Samaquin, thank you. Hand pumper and historical pictures. I will take a motion to refer to Budget and Finance Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this piece?
One thing, I'm not going to oppose it. I've seen these restored. They can be actually pretty beautifully restored, and they look great. All that I'm going to ask is we please clarify where this is going to go, because I've also seen these restored and then be stored in some private firefighter's facility for years on end and never to be seen again. So I would just like some clarification.
It says it in the packet.
It gives 3 options.
Yeah.
If we're going to spend over $100,000, I'd like to just know where it's going to go. So just as a piece of information there, but I support it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to ordinance D FY 27002, Community Against Flock Encroachment CAF Act of 2026. I will refer to Counselor Spagone.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council, residents and tenants, good evening. This is actually a piece of legislation that I will first note that this actually isn't the correct version of the legislation. I had actually not been informed that this was going to be added to the agenda until we got the agenda. I actually have an adjusted version that I would like to submit, although I'm starting to think that that's going to have to be done through the committee process if we refer this over to a committee. But the overall intent of this legislation is to address the issue of automated license plate readers and license plate reader devices, colloquially known as a brand name in town called Flock. There are cameras that you've seen probably in town on tall black poles. They typically have either one little camera unit that's about roughly the size of a cell phone, and it usually is focused on a roadway or a walkway or any type of public area, and what it is used for is to be able to monitor traffic and such things like that. But I do know that there are concerns from a larger level about the use of the cameras. I recognize that they may be an important tool for law enforcement, but I want to make sure that where this could be unexplored territory, we can at least put guardrails in place to better protect the community. That being said, this proposal that's currently before everybody on your agenda tonight and in your documentation is not a complete full version as I intended it to be. I actually went and had more of it improved, so I'm hoping to at least switch it out for the revised version as opposed to the one that's currently before us tonight. It's unfortunate that I was not notified that this was going to happen, otherwise I would have submitted that. What I can do right now is I have the improved copy in my email account right now. I could forward it to everybody, or at least to Debbie, so she can share it with everyone. So right now, my concern is as to the procedure for this, because it's not the correct version of the legislation and it's before us right now. I'm not sure if Jason can give me a little bit of guidance on this. Would it be appropriate for me to ask that this be removed and in its place the correct version submitted? Or would this have to be done at a future meeting?
So you have two options. So you can move to amend with an amendment tonight, changing out what you want to change out. You can move to have it referred, which is, I think, what is the kind of the proposed next step. During the referral process, when it's being vetted, you can input or make the recommendation if you're on the committee. If you're not, when it gets back through committee, you can make the motion to amend at that time as well. So you can amend at either time. And then the final option is always to continue it to the next meeting. And you can do that as well. So any of those three will work.
Yeah. What would probably be the most expedient at that point then?
Probably to refer it to committee, have it go through the process, and when it gets back through the process, look at what you have here, and based on what you have here, have redline proposed amendments based on what you wanted to have proposed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any additional discussion on this? Councilor Perry?
I would just state that again, if there is a more complete writing of this ordinance before we refer it to any subcommittee, I would say we would need to see that and have it in our packet here. And it should be in the packet for the public to review as well before we discuss and refer. So I might suggest we continue this to the next meeting until her version can be put in front of all of us, because I wouldn't feel comfortable referring this to a subcommittee without seeing what other documentation she has.
I honestly, Dr. Perry, would be preferable to that just because of how this got onto the agenda this particular way. I want to make sure everybody has a thorough understanding of what I'm seeking to achieve, but also try to provide for the public and to keep up the interest in folks. So I would be amenable to that.
Would you like to make a motion?
Could I also say something?
Yes.
We do have the chief here, and I don't know if you wanted to ask him any questions since they've been sitting here all night for this to come up, and we want to utilize his time. I just figured I would offer it.
Thank you, Trish. I spoiler alert, I think the next item on this also pertains to that, so if not now, likely then. But let's just get through what we're going to do here with Councilor.
Well, I think a motion to continue it.
Okay.
So that we can get everything squared away.
Second.
Motion to continue to the next council meeting. just to have a
Correct.
date
Motion to
certain.
continue to the next meeting.
Seconded by Councilor Ellenberg. Any discussion on the continuation? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to the next proposed general ordinance D FY 27003, an ordinance amending Part 3 of the general ordinances by establishing a new chapter entitled Municipal Surveillance Technology. I will defer to Councilor Kennedy.
So this is very similar. And the intent of this is to both add a chapter to our general ordinances because of the ever-growing surveillance technology that is coming through over the last few years and where it may go. It allows the council to insert additional ordinances and changes as they see fit to an actual chapter that can be referenced. And this as well removes the town's current flock cameras and the town's contracts with flock entirely. I will say I met with the chief. We discussed this ordinance, and I want to really emphasize to the public that I do believe that the police department entered into taking flock technology with the town and using it in good faith. They did put appropriate policies in place immediately, and I want to commend them on that. We are seeing other departments around the country that have not done that immediately, and they did, which I think is great. I view the APLR systems as a large-scale surveillance issue. In the collection of that data, we're seeing different headlines in the news, but I want to focus on what we see in Bridgewater. They are popping up not only on public property, but private property. What this does is it removes them from the town and allows us to put pause basically on the usage of these. The technology itself is advancing rapidly. Right now it is the camera, the license plate reading system. There are new technologies coming out very quickly that also associates that plate reading to Bluetooth devices like your phone. And this information is stored, and the metadata on this is stored outside the town, not within the town's control. We do, however, have an agreement that that data is supposed to be deleted at 30 days. That data is able to be accessed by others within that system. Our police department did put an audit in place, and they have protocols in place to appropriately check themselves and make sure that there's limited access to the Flock system within our town, which I think is a good thing. But my intent with this is to push pause for now on APLR systems. Maybe some technology comes out in the future that we find beneficial. I do think that the police view this as a police tool, which I think it's probably a great police tool in some instances, and they were giving me instances as well where they were able to use this tool. But personally, I find this to be part of a larger network that extends outside of our town, and it's being used in different ways across the country, and those ways are concerning. I think the technology has advanced faster than state legislation process and federal legislation processes, and there's a lot of concerns with this. So without getting too political over the subject, that's where this originates from. There's a memorandum in there as well, which I'm not going to continue to opine on this, so I'll take any questions as well.
Thank you. If we wouldn't mind, I will move to ask the town manager if we could hear from the police and then maybe go to discussion.
Should we suspend the rules to allow the chief to speak? Do we need to do that, Mr. President?
Yes.
All right, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Spigot. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Hi,
opposed?
Chief, can you come up, please?
Mr. President, will we be able to ask the chief questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello again. So I'll be very brief. I've appreciated the conversation about it. I recognize this is a bigger issue. It's not simply just a Bridgewater issue. What I can tell you, I look forward to the discussion. I suspect at some point you're going to refer it to a committee, and we'll have good discussion there as well in your subcommittee assessment of it. What I would say to you briefly is this. There are many technologies that are out there. Not all of them, I think, are useful and valuable. They have some value. We always balance not only the value of those technologies and those changes in our society and culture, but also what are we giving up in return? And I think in the license plate reader realm, I'm a convert. I originally was somebody who didn't feel as though the technology was something that was valuable to bring here. There wasn't enough bang for the buck, if you will. And I was also concerned about the privacy issues. But as time has gone on, and I have seen this work, I can provide you with some examples when we get to the committee level or even the full council level when we get to that stage. I'd be happy to do that. But I would tell you this, I think it's proven itself. I have seen it. I am a convert in that I feel as though the privacy interest that is exposed now in simply taking a snapshot of one particular location at a particular time is minimal at best versus the value that we get out of it investigatively. Some of it investigatively may revolve around property crimes and thefts and things like that, which are important, but probably more so and more of a priority is I'm very concerned about turning off this technology, which is limited. It is not a panacea. It is not solving crimes for us. It is just that. It is a tool. But it has I have seen and witnessed, and it has demonstrated to me that the minimal privacy interest that we give up at this time, based on the parameters and the guardrails that we have in place, is outweighed by the value of this investigative tool. And I'll be able to provide you with more of those. I appreciate the conversation I've had with Councilor Kennedy and also with Councilor Spigot about this issue. It's a bigger thing that's at play. I recognize that across the country. But not to delay your meetings any longer, I would just say it's a technology that I strongly believe in. I was brought there. I didn't start there. And I think for what we are asked to do, which is ensure the safety to the best of our abilities in this community, I think this is one of the best tools that we have to ensure that. So I obviously, personally, I oppose and professionally oppose restricting that because we have the guardrails in place. We have those limitations. We have that audit process. We are imperfect people, but we have those procedures in place that I think you expect of us to make sure that the technology is not abused. Where's the technology going to go? I can't answer that for you. You know, it's amazing to me what a phone will do that you all have in your pockets right now when it comes to tracking where you go, what you do, and what you say. This technology is a far cry from that. Now, it's not to say somewhere down the road things won't change, and I think you should address it when it gets to that stage. But the technology as we use it today is limited, has appropriate guardrails. I strongly support it, and I hope you will support us in that as well. So I'll take any questions that you have.
Any questions from the council for the chief? Council McGrath?
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief, thank you for coming. So if we didn't want them in our neighborhoods and you just had them on the highways exiting and coming off, cars coming on and off of that, would that be enough? Because, I mean, we are a small town. And I don't know what the crimes have been that you've used for it, but mostly if someone's doing a crime, they're getting out of town.
Yeah, so just keep in mind, we only have a few of them.
Right.
So they're only in a few locations within the community. They do not encompass the entire community even.
What's a
close.
few?
Excuse me?
What's a few?
We
Like
have 6 of them.
6?
Yeah, and some are, more than one is required on one road. So when you're talking about the number of roads that these are even applied to is very limited.
Can you just give us an idea of why you pick certain roads?
Busier locations. You know, it's probably the same way that, you know, policing has been done, right? We put our assets and resources in the places that we think we're going to be the most impactful. If we have problems up in the center of town at bar closing time, we put more resources there for public safety purposes. We do the same thing when it comes to technology. We try to, you know, the few beans, if you will, that we have to spend on technology, we invest it in those places that we think it's going to have the most impact for our community. And that's what we've done here.
So there's a lot of problems with them, and you have safeties, so people are tracking their ex-girlfriend and stuff like that. I've read about. So how do you make sure those, did you write those safety issues, and who's overlooking those safety issues?
Well, that's what you pay me for, right?
Okay.
So the guardrails that I speak of is a matter of policy. It's a matter of auditing. It's a matter of reviewing and evaluating, you know, what circumstances are being used at. We have a detective sergeant who's been assigned to that auditing process. It's done on a regular basis. I've gone through and I've looked at we have a contract with the company. We've looked at the parameters to make sure the appropriate, or what we think are appropriate guardrails are there. That's why the data is deleted after a certain amount of time. You ask why is it 30 days? We feel as though we'll be alerted to something that, you know, may have happened within that time frame. We'll be able to access that data. The problem is that you go beyond that 30-day time frame, you won't be able to do that because that data is deleted. So we've looked at a bunch of those things, but that's, you know, that's what you pay the command staff and myself to make sure that we're holding people accountable. It's being used for the proper reasons and the appropriate reasons. And I'd be happy to show you a number of examples of how it's benefited us in this community. And how I think it does make this community safer. It's just one small piece of the puzzle. There are other things that we certainly employ to provide safety. It's about training our personnel and where we deploy them, and it's a whole host of things that go into policing a community. But this is probably one of those technology areas that has changed a lot for us and is beneficial, while at the same time not sacrificing your expectation of privacy to go about your lives. We're very conscious of that. You know, we want to make sure that everybody in this community knows that, you know, your police department is the place. We're a representative of the government. You know me personally, but I have a job to do. And I respect not only the job that I do, but how I do it and interact with people. And they also expect that I'm conscious of what their expectations and freedoms are, and we have to respect that and honor that, and I think we're doing that even with this technology. I don't think it's changing that, personally.
I just have one more question. So you wrote the policy?
Yes.
Okay, so say, you know, someday you're going to retire and stuff like that.
Yes.
So another chief could rewrite it, but if the town council wrote it as a law, could we do that and, as a law, and it would stay put? And no one could change it in the police department if we took your policy and made it a law.
Yeah, so I think with policy, you hold me accountable, right? So
Yeah.
through the town manager, you have certain questions or you have certain issues, then there's an accountability process that's built in. So even if the policy itself, that you feel as though there is something that you may object to, there's still a process for you to be able to object to that and be able to address that issue. I don't think it's required that you put it in black letter law, if you will, in
Yeah.
that way. But that's what you pay us to do, right? You pay us to exercise our due diligence and make sure that we're evaluating these things appropriately, so.
So when you write the policy, does the town manager know that you're writing a new policy for your department?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Let me clarify that. The policy is written by us in the police department. But I'll tell you what goes into policy development is not because we just say, hey, we're going to wing it and do this and do that. As you know, as professionals, we're an accredited police agency, which means that we're held to certain standards of utilizing best practices. We do that in every component of our business. We try to use best practices. And how do you do that? We look and see how other communities are doing it. We see what trends are formulating. We also add our own expertise into that, our own training, our own educational component, and say to ourselves, is that appropriate? Is that the degree that we would like to go? So policy development is not done in a vacuum. It's not because, the next community over had a policy. Sometimes we use those policies as a good basis. Hey, I see how you're doing it. This doesn't seem to be appropriate, or this is not effective. How do we need to change that? So it's not as simple as, hey, we just do what we feel like. I just want to make sure you
I
understand.
remembered one more question. So we only have a certain amount now of the cameras. So can you add as many cameras as you want in the town, budget-wise?
Well, it's based on funding, certainly. And how we achieved it, just so you know, we achieved this through a Justice Assistant grant that Lieutenant Heil wrote. We got a few things in that grant, and one component of that grant was for to install these flock cameras. We've only had them in the past, for the past year or so. So we've had some opportunity to experience some positives with it. We did our homework. We talked to other communities. We talked about positives and negatives. And based on all of those factors, we felt as though this was a good decision for the community. And I believe that some of the incidents we will be happy to discuss with you, some of which we have to be cautious about how far we go because they're still in prosecution phases. So we have to be careful about how we discuss those incidents without compromising future prosecutions of cases. But I think you'll find that there's some good stories that are in there, some success stories that were helped by this technology.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I just have a brief moment of business.
Motion to suspend the rules, Mr. President, and add 30 minutes to the meeting.
Have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Perry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
No.
The meeting's been extended by 30 minutes.
8-1.
Voted 8-1. Councilor Perry, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief, for the information so far. Can you just speak to the security of the data, and is it basically hack-proof, or is there any potential chances that that data could leak out somewhere?
Well, much like your credit card information at Target, I cannot guarantee that anything is hack-proof. I don't control that parameter. So I wouldn't be here to defend any corporation, company, business entity, government entity to say that it is hack-proof. I can't say that.
Certainly. Thank you.
Councilor Spigon?
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief, I did have one question about the cameras that we procured. Knowing that there's several other brands out there like, I think Leonardo and Axon, what was the reason for specifically choosing Flock's products? Was it a level of versatility, scalability, feasibility of how you're going to use the systems, something like that?
Yeah, I think this system was something that was appropriately addressed to the investigative side, how easy it is to use, the simplicity of it, what's the level of data that's required of us, what's the input versus what are we getting out of it. So it just seemed to be one of the easier things. So we had our detectives look at systems that were out there. We've done that for some time. License plate readers have been out there for years. They have, in many communities, they have them mounted on police vehicles. They're not stationary. In our case, we simply use stationary cameras, and all it does is a snapshot in time at a certain location. It does not track people.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Chief, thank you so much for being here and giving us that briefing. I know we had the same constitutional law professor in law school, so I'd be remiss if I didn't kind of run you through the paces real quick of what we learned in Con Law 101, you know. So for me, I do have some concerns with, obviously, the reasonable expectation of privacy standard, third party. So my question is, where is the data held? Is it in an iCloud? Is it in a hard drive? Where is that overall collected data held?
Yeah, it's a cloud server, so we do not have it physically on premises.
Okay, thank you. And then I would, my next question, like, and this is just a general statement, you know, I do have some reservations as the, it is a product that is being sold to regular people and also, can private people, like, you can purchase this product? Like, I can go online and buy it, like myself?
Well, I don't know about individuals, but I can tell you companies certainly have done that. I don't know about, you know, an individual person. I suspect you probably could if you communicated with a company. I'm not sure, but I can tell you private entities already do that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Councilor Kennedy?
I don't have a whole lot to add. I just wanted to, again, thank you for meeting with me last week and your officers that met as well. I thought we had a great discussion, and I appreciated just a very frank discussion about the process for you guys and where I was at and just holding that. So thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. And we do share that same concern about privacy. So that's not lost. We do share that same concern.
Thank you, Chief. Okay. I don't have any motions on the table, so I will take any motions to refer to committee, to retain.
Thank you,
I'll make a
Chief
motion
and
to
Lieutenant.
send to Rules and Procedure.
Second.
Councilor Kennedy made the motion to send to Rules and Procedures, seconded by Councilor Spagone. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Okay, moving on to ordinance D FY 27004, Save Volunteer Services Program, Work Off Rules, Eligibility, and Administrative Policies and Procedures. Councilor Perry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am the sponsor of this, but I want to thank Lori and her team. She put most of this language together. But basically, this is just expansion of the Save Work Off program to again just to keep on to extend the town, the participants, the program to continue to be volunteer labor to help reduce their volunteer tax bill, but it just elaborated on the details of the program.
Thank you. I will also take a motion to amend the title to make it shorter for the next time it comes around, if you're willing. But it also-
I was brought this to me by Lori and her team. So
In the past, this has been voted to Rules and Procedure and then ultimately came back to the council and forwarded to Budget and Finance Committee. And so that's how we've addressed this in the past, but open to however motion or whatever
Motion
folks
to
would like to make.
send to Rules and Procedure.
Motion made by Councilor Lindy.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Spagone. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So that motion will go to Rules and Procedure. Thank you. Moving on to proposed general ordinance D.
I think you also need to vote that to finance.
My understanding and what I have here is that it comes back to council and then goes to.
Then you're going to vote it out?
I'm
Okay.
gonna go one at a time.
It's fine. You can do it. Yep.
Proposed General Ordinance D FY 27005, Chapter 220, Article V, Water Impact Studies and Town Council Notification. I will refer to either Councilor Kennedy or Councilor McGrath.
I can start. So this stems from a previous ordinance that's kind of died at this point. I had an ordinance a few months ago about that included water impact studies, and through some complications with moratorium language and MBTA things, that is currently still sitting in committee. And this is a component of that, and Councilor McGrath joined me on this because she had a very reasonable concern. I think we have all experienced now over the last year where developments have happened, and we find out much, much later whether or not a water impact study was even done on these. So This is solving two things at once. There's quite a bit of language in here that I'm not going to read through all of it at the moment. But at a high level, this requires the town to do water impact studies. It highlights a process that captures specific developments. We work together with the town manager as well as DPW director and water superintendent to highlight the areas that would capture the most reasonable water impact studies. Previously, we had water impact studies done on different developments, and there wasn't, in my opinion, a particularly good reason why some things were included, why some things were not included. Some projects had water impact studies done after the fact. So this is to capture everything, lay out exactly what's expected, a base foundation of what's in a water impact study, because water impact studies actually don't specifically include certain things that we may assume they include. They're variable. So this creates a foundation, which was again done with DPW director and water superintendent. And then the notification process for this, I want to highlight, the council does not approve or deny any component of any of these developments. The intent of the approval process is solely, the notification process is solely to notify the council of these when they are done. So that we are informed, so when residents ask us what is going on with this water impact study, or this shows this or that, we don't then have to go look for the information ourselves. We have it available, we're aware of it, and we can discuss those things with residents as well as bring up questions to the town manager and staff. So, Councilor McGrath, is there anything else additional you want to add to this?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Yeah, I was kind of looking at the water impact, and I know that it's important to have backup, no matter who's the town councils or who's the town manager. And also, I had spoken with the chair, Mr. Driscoll, of planning, because I didn't want to use pipe size. I wanted to be able to use how many gallons that something would use. So that's why we have like containing 2 or more dwellings and stuff like that. So it's very precise. So it's using the amount of our water instead of using the pipe size. But I think Mr. Kennedy spoke well on the other stuff.
Then I will add, there is quite a bit in here on the regulations. Due to where we're at in the meeting, I'm not going to read through all of them, but at a future reading of this, I will lay that out for the public in this format, outside of this being available online for people to read, and explain in more detail as to how we reach those conclusions that were not related to pipe size, but they're related to bedrooms. They encapsulate subdivisions that are ever expanding, and square footage used, and how we calculated a lot of that. And that will be discussed as well if this gets sent to Rules and Procedure.
Thank you. I will take a motion.
Motion to refer to Rules and Procedures?
Second.
Made by Councilor Spigot, seconded by Councilor Lindy. Any further discussion? Councilor Perry?
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree, we can start definitely this with the rules and procedures, but when it does come back, I think secondarily it should go to CED and Planning Board as a joint meeting as well.
Anything else? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. We will move to item O, citizens' comments. Due to Massachusetts open meeting law requirements, discussions will not take place during public comment periods. I would ask residents to please state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Gina Gasconi, 35 Wall Avenue, also Chair of Community Preservation, forgot what it is, Chair of, to answer Councilor Kennedy's question, a thought about the fire station, the Osamoquin pumper, the pictures, they all will be accessible. Fire department's working on a location to put the pumper, so it is available for anybody to see. They had originally thought inside the lobby, but it's too big. It would take up the whole lobby. So they are working on a site which will be visible to everyone. The pictures, I believe, are going to line the hallway, like all the old pictures. Just one note, the amount that was in the order for the pictures, we've had 2 quotes. And I commend Deputy Chief Grafton for his work in all this research. One quote was over 50,000, one quote was under 50,000. The state procurement law says 50,000 is the cutoff between just written quotes and a complete RFP. So it could be less than what's in there. That's up to the discretion of finance and the town manager's office, which they go. But pictures and the pumper will be available for everybody to see. Guaranteed they won't just be packed away. And lastly, I just want to say, I thought tonight's council meeting was very good. It was very informative, very professional. I thought it was just a good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street. First, want to say thank you for decreasing the square footage. If I think I heard it right, it's still stuck. Everything is where you were going to send it and stuff, but it's still stuck to 5,000 square feet amendment, right? I did hear that correctly? Okay. But I thank you for that very much. It's good that we get going on it soon, and so somebody doesn't come in and try to get in before we even have it on the books. So in that situation in Lowell, besides being in the residence, and there was odors coming from, they said on the news that there was odors coming from it. There was a lot of things going on. So there's things to watch out for on those data centers. I don't really understand them, but I don't think we really need them here. But I thank you for decreasing the size. And the only other thing I wanted to bring up, and I brought it up before, is comments at committee meetings. There's got to be consistency on comment sections. I have from the state website, open meeting law does not require a public body allow public comments or public participation during meetings. Open meeting law states that no person shall address a meeting or public body without permission of the chair, and all persons shall at a request of the chair be silent. Therefore, the law gives the chair of the public discretion to decide whether to permit public comment or not. But it also says, as we've all should know, although the open meeting law does not require public bodies to allow public comment during meetings, we meaning the state, encourage public bodies to allow for as much public participation as time and circumstances permit. In addition, we note that the Supreme Judicial Court explained that the content-based restrictions on public comment may violate the portion of Massachusetts Declaration of Rights protecting the right to assemble and the right to free speech. I just ask that we, some of the committees don't have it on their agenda. They may allow it, but it's not written there, so you don't know, and they don't necessarily have to allow it, but it makes for good communication and trustworthiness if you have it. Not to single someone out, but I'm going to single out Concom. They don't have public comment on their agenda all the time or even allow it. And there was a time where you couldn't make comment if you were going to comment about something on the agenda. But usually that's why you're there. You're there to comment on something on the agenda. So it should be on agenda in the beginning, at the end, but some of these things you really need to have it in the middle, because you could talk about something and then they talk about it, and then if you're not able to talk to the end, it could be voted on already, and anything that you want to say is not going to matter anymore. So I think we need to put public comment in those committees a little more. Some of the public committees do allow for free exchange, which is good, but there are some that still don't get it. So I just want to try to have some type of rule that it's going to be in there. And but otherwise, I appreciate everything that tonight. I was happy, with some of the things that went on. So thank you.
Any additional comments? Seeing none, we will move to the next portion of the agenda. Item P, council comments. Councilor comments. I will start with Councilor Ellenberg.
I'm going to do my usual and pass because we've had a very long meeting.
Counselor Spigot.
Given the lateness of the hour, Mr. President, I will also forego comments this evening. Thank.
Counselor Hunt.
Me too.
Counselor Trocchio.
I am not going to pass. I owe somebody an apology. Lori, I've been thinking about my approach. This has been eating me up on how I caught you flat-footed in my style. That was not appropriate for me to do that the way I questioned you. So I'm genuinely sorry about that line of questioning, and I hope that you please accept my apology. Thank you. And no, it's tough to be in these positions. I hope people know, like, these, when we're up here, I mean, we're now at past 10 o'clock, and these are pretty stressful things, and people come to you all the time with some real tough positions and issues, but thank you. Thank you, Lord.
Counselor Perry.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, just want to, thank the council and all the firefighters that came out here tonight to put their passion for their case and their, what was in front of us tonight to make a decision. And I think, again, in the end, we all came to a decision that sits well with everybody. So I want to just thank the process. I think it went well, and then hopefully in the end we can continue to financially support that decision. Secondarily, I do want to wish our 12-year-old Bridgewater Little League team that's about to face the biggest game of their life coming up there, to get them to the big dance over there in Cooperstown. So I want to wish them the best of luck. Right now, they do look like the team to beat, so I hope they can come through and win and be the New England representative in the Little League World Series. So I want to wish them the best of luck.
Thank you, Counselor Perry. Counselor Lindy.
Two things. Dr. Perry beat me to it. It's 7 o'clock Thursday night. Can't wait to see it. Where'd my other one go? I don't want the other counselors to think that I voted against extending the meeting, other than nothing good gets accomplished in over a 3-hour meeting. I think we should consider and look at possibly Councilor Spigone's suggestion to meet every week, or we're not meeting again until September 8th. These are just getting more and more, and we have to do something about the length of these meetings. When we were thinking about extending hours, which we did, to tropical smoothies, I'm not a big fan of things after 1 a.m. I did vote the last time to extend it to 24 hours, and now that I really think about it, I mean, it's just a lot, and we take our job seriously, but I teach, and I teach 3-hour classes, and if I don't do a break for 10 minutes or 15 minutes halfway through, I lose my students. So certain classes it works, like TV production, other classes it doesn't work. So I think we need to look at that. We also aren't done tonight. We have an executive session as well. That's kind of why I'm saying it, because that is a major decision, and we're all tired, so.
I'll pass.
Counselor McGrath. Counselor Kennedy.
Thank you, everybody, again, who stays to the end. Thank you to my fellow counselors. I want to congratulate the fire local, the men and women over there, on completing this contract. I know that took quite a long time with multiple managers, so I'm glad we were able to accomplish that tonight. I think we had an overall good meeting, and I'm going to pass it on to you.
Yeah, I have many thoughts, but not for this evening, so I will also pass and move to executive session. So the council does have an executive session listed on the agenda for this evening, so I will entertain a motion to enter into executive session under MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A 6, to consider the purchase of real property for municipal water supply purposes,
The chair, having determined that an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the town council, and to adjourn from executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Counselor Spigot, seconded by
Question.
Counselor Perry.
Can we have a
Discussion?
brief recess before? Just 2 minutes?
Yes, why don't we take the motion to vote, and then we'll
Yeah.
take a quick motion if we can. Okay, so it's been motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
No, no,
Roll
roll
call.
call.
All got it?
Ms. Ellenberg?
This is, pardon me, the motion is to go into executive session?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Ms. Pagone?
Yes.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Dr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Trocchio?
Yes.
Dr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Lindy?
Yes.
And Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
9 in favor, 0 opposed.
2 minutes.
Make it fast.
Yes.
Ellie, do you need help getting up?
Nah, I'm just gonna sit here.
All right.
Maybe have a granola bar. Are we meeting in the other room or here?
Paul, are we going in conference 201A?